How is everybody doing? Hopefully well. Hopefully well. All having a good evening, afternoon, whatever it is. Hey, that's fucking awesome. Thank you, Casey. All right. Oh shit. Gonna try to get started right away. Oh come on. All right, there we go. All right, so, oh, the Odyssey was amazing. The Odyssey was absolutely fantastic. Well, thanks, production room. But yeah, we're going to try to get right into the conversations. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, MG. How old are you? I mean, sometimes that's how it goes. Hi, Yordi. How old are you?
33.
And what God do you believe in?
I believe that there's a creator, and I don't believe in a particular religion, but I do believe that this universe, this earth, is very intricately structured, and there's something behind it.
Okay, so but you do believe in like an immaterial mind that created and sustains the universe?
Not a human.
I didn't say human. Don't add shit.
Well,
Just answer the question I asked you.
I didn't. Well, I misheard you, buddy. I didn't try to add things. I apologize.
Okay. Do you believe in an immaterial mind that created and sustains the universe?
Immaterial mind. Yes.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
For me, rational justification would be the study of nature and the study of the physical terrain in human beings, the nervous system, the electrical system, and how they correlate together. Particular foods, particular nutrients, particular.
It just sounds like you're
Um,
saying that nature provides evidence, but I'm not asking you to tell me where you would look for the evidence. I'm asking you to tell me what the evidence is.
the evidence, in my opinion, is that we can be our life force can be measured through frequency, through a voltmeter.
Our life force?
That's correct. Like our heart's beating by itself. Our heart has an
No,
electrical
life
system.
force. The life force. There's a difference between a heartbeat and a life force. What is the life force?
The life force is what is keeping our heartbeat going, and our
What do you
heartbeat going is
Okay,
the electrical system.
no. What if you're just saying that there's electrical and chemical activity in our bodies, like yeah, that's what we are. We're walking chemistry reactions, right? Like that's what we are. So I don't you're trying to it sounds like you're trying to woo woo it and make it into something more than it is. But I'm just asking you to actually give evidence that there's a God, not just assert that there's this like mysterious life force that keeps our hearts beating. Just give me some evidence for a God, please. Or I suppose you could admit that you don't have any. Yeah, it does sound like Scientologist nonsense. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess you could also just leave. Okay, well then. Hey, Daniel. Thank you for everybody for coming in and supporting Strong right away immediately. That's fucking awesome. Thank you, KC. Broken Tree Branch, Poopman Jones, you guys rule. Anna, thank you so much for the heart me. Hey, glad to see you here, Levi. Hey, fuck yeah. uh, the hat and mustache just gets me every time. Every time. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Well, I appreciate that, Levi, but it's certainly not something that I expect. Okay, did they not connect? Oh, I need to do my pinned comment over on YouTube. Debate. There. And then one here. And one of those. All right. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're an adult and you have some an actual argument or evidence for God. For God. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate the free engagement. That's awesome. Hi, JCC. How old are you?
Can you hear me?
I can. How old are you?
40.
Okay. And I assume that you're a Christian?
Yeah.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
So, not only do I see him in my dreams, I woke up and saw him today, and I took a picture of him.
Okay. Well, I don't really care about, hallucinations or dreams or
Why?
random pictures on your phone. I'm just asking for any argument or evidence that would actually demonstrate that God exists, not that some random person was in your bedroom when you woke up.
Why do you assume that? What gives you the right?
So do you have any argument or evidence, or do you just want to talk about bullshit?
So you'll see it on the news, and then you'll retract your statement and apologize.
So you don't have any argument or evidence?
So you'll retract your statement.
Okay, I'll ask one more time, and then if you can't provide anything, I'll just move on. What's the argument or evidence?
I run this show, not you, buddy.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you actually have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. I don't want to see the picture. Fuck no. Hi, Tess. How old are you?
I just wanted to ask, do you like...
Okay. Definitely, I don't know, maybe that wasn't a child, but it sounded like a child to me. And especially when they come up and they refuse to, engage. Just all the more reason why I'm not going to deal with their bullshit. Okay. Okay. All right, well, fair enough. Yeah, just looking for folks who have any, who are adults and actually have an argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. All right, maybe we'll actually get to have a reasonable debate. Hi, Bright Light. How old are you?
I'm 32. How's it going?
Going well, thanks. What God do you believe in?
I believe in the Christian God.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
I would just argue morality. I would just like to understand how do you decide what is right and wrong without God?
Well, I'm not interested in having a debate about morality, but are you saying that morality is what gives us reason to believe in God?
I'm saying that objective morality would give us reason, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like the argument is something along the lines of, if objective morals exist, then God exists. Objective morals do exist, therefore God exists. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, you can say that, sure.
Okay. Well, my issue with this is going to be that this argument is self-defeating. Okay. So, I'll put the argument up on the screen so we can all see exactly what I'm talking about. So we'll throw up the notepad. And so the argument itself, I suppose I probably should have just thrown the argument in there right away. But the argument itself is this. And now that you have a chance to read it, I just want you to read it and make sure that I'm not straw-manning you. Is this essentially the argument that you're giving?
If objective moral facts exist, then God exists. Objective moral fact exists, God exists. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the problem with this argument, like I said, is that it is self-defeating. The reason that it's self-defeating is that you can't support the second premise without destroying the argument. That's my claim, and I'll show you why I say that. And the reason that I say that is that there are only two ways, or maybe we should say two categories of ways to support that second premise. So the first one is going to be without reference to God. And then the other one would be with reference to God. Now, I imagine that you probably would refer to God to demonstrate that objective morals exist, but I want to talk about both of these so that we can show fully that this argument doesn't work. Do you agree that those are the only two categories of ways to demonstrate that objective moral facts exist, either without referring to God or with referring to God?
Yeah, so far I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay. So if we try to demonstrate that objective morals exist without referring to God, this disproves the first premise, right? Because showing that objective morals exist without referring to God demonstrates that objective morals can exist without God, which means the first premise is wrong and the conclusion doesn't follow anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I would just say that if everybody came up with their own morals, there would be no possibility of an objective morality without God.
Yeah, I'm not saying everybody comes up with their own morals. I'm saying imagine someone did try to show that objective morals exist without referring to God. Whether they're successful or not, just the fact that they think they can show it without referring to God means that this first premise is wrong, right? Because they would have to say that they can show objective morals without referring to God. So this first
Okay.
premise would be wrong and the argument would fail.
Right, okay.
Okay. So then what you would want to do so that you don't disprove that first premise is show objective morals with reference to God. The problem with trying to do it with reference to God is that this makes the argument circular. Right?
Okay, well, may I ask you something? Do you believe in objective morality or no?
I do, but that's not relevant. So what I'm saying is that if you try to demonstrate that objective morals exist by referring to God, the reason it, excuse me, the reason that it makes the argument circular is that right now this argument essentially is God exists because objective morals exist. And then if you try to demonstrate objective morals exist with reference to God, you're saying objective morals exist because God exists. So then what you end up...
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that morality. I mean, I'm sorry. I wouldn't say God exists because of objective morality. I would say that objective morality exists because of God. I wouldn't agree with that first part of it.
That's what this argument is. This argument is saying God exists because objective morals exist. That's the thrust of this argument. It's saying since objective morals exist, we know that God exists. So it's saying God exists because objective morals exist, right?
No, I don't agree with that. Like
that is what this argument is. This argument is saying objective morals prove God exists, which we can summarize to, or we can paraphrase to, God exists because objective morals exist. That's what this argument is saying. And so if this argument is saying God exists because objective morals exist, and then you say, which you already agreed, you would say objective morals exist because God exists. Well, the problem now is that if we take out these objective morals parts, essentially the argument that you're giving is God exists because God exists. This is a circular argument. And if I said, imagine that I gave the parody version of this argument, right? And I said, let's say that instead of this, I said if objective morals exist, then God doesn't exist. Objective moral facts exist, so then God doesn't exist, right? Let's imagine that I gave that argument. And then, so now I'm saying that God doesn't exist because objective moral facts exist. And then you ask me to demonstrate that objective morals exist. And I say, well, since God doesn't exist, we know that that morals are objective because they don't come from a mind like God's. Then you would say, well, hey, you just said that God exists because objective moral, or God doesn't exist because objective morals exist. But then you said that objective morals exist because God doesn't exist. Now your argument's circular, and you would have defeated my argument because all I'm saying at that point is God doesn't exist because God doesn't exist. But that's what you're doing. You're saying God exists because God exists.
Yeah, I guess I'm not like a debater because it's kind of hard for me to keep up with what you're saying. But can you answer, like, where would you get your morality from to say it's objective then?
So I can give you an argument that I like.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a reflective agent, right? That means that I have desires and I have the ability to reflect on those desires, my impulses, and make choices, without just acting on my desires, right? So that's what it means to be a reflective agent. But if I'm a reflective agent, then I think that my goal, I think the goal for all reflective agents is eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is just living, it's like living a good life that you can accurately evaluate as having been a good life, right? And I think that's the goal for everybody. Now, obviously, what a good life looks like for you and what a good life looks like for me, those are different things, right? You might want to be like an auto mechanic, but I want to be a musician, right? So it doesn't mean that we have to have the same goals, but the reason you want to be an auto mechanic, not that you want to do that, but if you did, the reason you want to do that is because you think that that's what's going to make you satisfied with your life and be able to evaluate your life as a good life. Like you want to spend time with your family because you love them, but because you know that being around people you love helps you have a positive, happy life, right? In the same way, I want to be a musician, or I want to be a TikTok debater, or whatever. I take those actions because ultimately I'm trying to live a good life that I can accurately and reliably evaluate as having been a good life. So if my goal as a reflective agent is eudaimonia, then all things considered, I have reasons to act in ways that bring about eudaimonia, and it's my position that the best way to bring about a eudaimonic life is to be a virtuous person. I think acting in accordance with virtue allows people the best opportunity to live a good life that they can evaluate as having been a good life. So, and then if all things considered, I have a reason to do something, that's just the same as saying I ought do it. So what we can conclude from my reflective agency is that I ought act in accordance with the virtues. But if my reflective agency is enough to give me an obligation to act in accordance with virtues, then that means that all reflective agents ought act in accordance with virtue. So it's my position that morality comes from our obligation as reflective agents to act virtuously.
Yeah, but if you say that morality comes from desiring a good life, like someone else might desire to unalive people, and to them that's a good life. So just by your definition alone, it would be subjective, no?
Right, but it doesn't make it subjective. It just means that person who wants their life to involve killing people, they are just wrong, right? They're a bad person because they're wrong. Like, they are contradicting themselves. There's a contradiction in their view, and contradictions are never correct, so we know that their view is wrong. Because what they have to say
what's the contradiction in their view, sir?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to explain. So they have to say that their reflective agency is enough to give them the ability to make that choice and to give them the right to go out and act the way that they want. But another person's reflective agency isn't enough for them to be able to do the same. So they're saying that reflective agency is sufficient for me to be able to, or my agency is sufficient for me to want to be able to go out and achieve my goals, but it's not enough to grant others the same right because I have the right to take their life away from them. So it's a contradiction saying that.
I'm following because, well, it sounds like it's a contradiction to say that if morality is based off someone trying to have a good life, because, like I already said, like a good life is subjective, and if a good life is subjective,
that's not
your morality has to be subjective.
No.
If you have different.
No.
How no, though? I don't understand.
I grant that you don't understand, but that is what I just explained. Maybe a better way to look at this is, because this is looking at from moral agency, why I have obligation to act virtuously. But maybe a better way to look at this is just like the moral rights that we get as moral patience from agency itself. Because just if we take the reflective agency part out of it and just say that I'm an agent, being an agent means I take actions to achieve goals. If I take actions to achieve goals, then I have a reason to have any or want or have anything that would help me achieve my goal. And if I have a reason to want or have something, then that means that I am saying that all things considered, I ought have that thing. And then because freedom and well-being are needed for any goal that any agent could possibly want to achieve, that means that all agents have a commitment to them to saying that they have the position that they ought have a right to freedom and well-being, or they ought have their freedom and well-being. But if I'm committed to the position that I ought have my freedom and well-being, then I'm also committed to the position that I don't want you to take it away from me. Right? And so if I'm saying there's an outward ought that others ought not take my freedom and well-being away from me, I'm claiming a right. Now, that automatically doesn't obligate other people, but I'm claiming a right to myself based on my agency. But if my agency is sufficient for me to claim a right to my freedom and well-being, then that means that all agents have a right to their freedom and well-being. And because all agents have a right to the freedom and well-being, a person who wants to hurt people or take other people's freedom and well-being away from them would have to have the view that their own agency is sufficient for them to have a right to the freedom and well-being to go hurt people, but other agents' agency isn't sufficient for them to have the right not to be harmed by, that evil person, right? So that would be a contradiction in their view.
Yeah, that's a lot for me to take in, man. I mean, maybe I'm just having a hard time understanding. Maybe you're like a little long-winded, so it's hard for me to track. But can I just bring you up another argument for why I think the Christian God is true?
Well, I'm not really very happy with the fact that I gave a response to your moral argument, and then instead of actually addressing it, you just moved on to another topic, and now you want to give a different argument. So what I would ask...
Yeah, no problem. I could try to address it if you want. It just seems like...
I want you to address the response I gave to your argument, not my argument for morality.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to follow. You're saying that morality comes from like your desires,
No, no,
basically,
no,
and
no, no, no,
everybody's
no, 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 no. Number one, I never said
your
morality comes from
desires to have a good life.
Okay, so I'm
Desires
trying
to
to
have a
explain
good
this to
life.
you,
That's what
and
you're
you're
saying.
not going to be able to explain it to you if you keep talking over me while I'm trying to explain it to you. If you're
All right, well,
already
break it down
struggling to
slowly, sir,
track,
please.
then talking over me isn't going to help you track any better.
Yeah, that's why I said break it down slowly, please.
Okay, I'm not asking you to respond to my argument for morality. I don't care if you respond to that or not. If you want to give a
But
different
that's what
argument,
the whole topic's about, brother.
no, it's not. You were trying to give an argument for God based on morality, and I showed how that argument was self-defeating. Instead of responding to me showing how the argument was self-defeating, you pivoted to my morality, and I was gracious enough to explain to you where I think morality is grounded without God. Now, if you want to go back to the conversation about whether or not there's reason to believe in God, then I need you to respond to my refutation of your moral argument.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to you, man. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I showed that your argument for God from morals was self-defeating. Do you agree that that argument
don't
doesn't
think-
work?
No, I don't agree because
Okay,
everything
then
that you're
show me what I
basing
was
your-
wrong.
Yeah, calm down, brother. Like you're getting a little upset. I'm just trying to talk to you.
I'm
to be
not getting
respectful, man.
upset. I'm just trying to keep you on topic. So what you need to do right now is not talk about my morality. You need to respond to my refutation of your moral argument for God.
No, but this is the thing. Like I have
Okay,
to
so the
address
next
your
thing,
morality.
the next thing that you do is either going to be a response to my refutation of your moral argument. It's going to be a concession that you can't respond, and that and you agree that the moral argument doesn't work as you presented it, or it's going to be anything else, like talking about my morality or saying literally anything other than those first two, and I'm just going to take that as a concession that you know that you've lost this debate.
All right. Well, can you sum up your point in like 2 sentences instead of going on a rant about it, or no?
Your argument that God exists because of objective morality fails because either you would have to prove the first premise wrong in order to support the second premise, or you would have to make the entire argument fail by supporting the second premise. Either way, you can't support the second premise that objective morals exist without ruining the argument.
Yes. So I would just say that if you don't have a standard for morality, it has to be.
That has
objective,
nothing to do
not
with what I
subjective.
said. You need to
By
respond. You need to respond to my point that the argument is self-defeating.
Yeah, if you want to go just by what you're saying, it's a contradiction. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
What's a contradiction?
To say that, oh, this is the way that I think morality is, and people have to agree that it has to do
No,
with
no,
people's
this has nothing
well-being
to.
and
I
be
already.
good in their
Okay,
life.
you know what? Fair enough. You know what? You obviously agreed earlier that you weren't tracking, and now it's obvious that you're not able to track. We're not talking about my moral system. I shouldn't have even gone into it. I apologize for being nice enough to go into my system. Clearly, that was confusing for you. All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. If you think that was me running from that debate, then you weren't tracking either. So I accept your admission that you weren't tracking. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Jesse. How old are you?
I'm 44.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
I met you last time, and you asked me to give you evidence of God. You brought up good points. And
So what
also
God
thank
do you
by the
believe in?
way. I'm not here to answer that. I'm here to answer if God is real or not.
Well, I need to know what God you believe in, and for two reasons. Number one, then I know what kind of God we're actually talking about. And number two, to demonstrate to me that you actually have the ability to have an intelligent conversation and answer questions.
Understandable. And I
So what
appreciate
God do you
very
believe in?
much. I'm not here. I'm here
Look,
to give you
Jesse,
evidence.
either you're going to answer that question directly and unambiguously this time when I ask it again, or I'm just going to move on. What God do you believe in?
I believe in the Judeo God,
Okay,
Yahweh.
You're Jewish.
I believe in the Judeo God, Yahweh.
Okay. Well, I told you if you couldn't give me an unambiguous answer, I was moving on, so I'm moving on. If you can't tell me what God you believe in, then I'm not going to talk to you. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. No, he didn't answer. He said the Judeo God, so I tried to clarify that he's Jewish, and he refused to give a direct answer. Hi, what's your name?
Anthony.
Okay, how old are you?
18.
And what God do you believe in?
Well, can I just believe in a God of a universe?
Okay, so you don't believe in a God associated with a religion?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I've got 2 points.
you
and
just
like,
believe in like a immaterial mind that created and sustains the universe?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got 2 points, and it depends on the answer to a question.
No, we're not answering questions. You're
asking.
just giving an argument. Go ahead with the
Oh
argument.
yeah,
that
no,
God
like
exists.
I just wanted to know your
Nope.
stand on it.
Yep, we're not doing that.
Okay, so were you a child prodigy on the skin flip?
You think that demonstrates that a God exists?
The skin flip.
All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Thank you for the apology, Jesse, and I'd be happy to have talked to you if you could just answer the simple question of what God you believe in. It's not that hard.
Hello,
Hi, Mo. How old are you?
I am 67.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
Well, I believe there's only one God, and I believe there is one because I've seen him.
I didn't ask you how many gods you believed in. I asked which God you believe in.
I said there was only one.
I did not ask you how many gods you believe in.
Oh, gosh, goodbye, you fool fucker.
You think I fuck fools? All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, I'm paid. How old are you?
I just want to say one thing. Who's a fucking...
Okay. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Zion. How old are you?
30.
Can you do anything about the echo?
Yeah, 30.
Can you do anything about the echo? I'm hearing myself. Oh, maybe it's gone now? Okay. You're 30, and what God do you believe in?
Yahuwah, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Oh, okay. So you're Jewish?
Not just believe the Torah.
Yeah, so you're
You
Jewish?
could say, no.
Are you Muslim?
No.
Are you Christian?
I mean, you could say Christian.
No, we're not going to do this. Wouldn't say. All right, so here's what's going to happen. For everyone who comes up from here on out, I'm going to ask one time what God you believe in. If you don't answer directly, just this is the God I believe in. If you say literally anything other than the answer to the question, either by saying I believe in the Christian God, I believe in the Jewish God, I believe in the Muslim God, I believe in the Hindu gods, or I believe in, a theistic God that isn't associated with a religion, whatever. If you literally do anything other than that, I'm dropping you immediately. Okay? Are we all on the same page? Cool. Hi, Iceman, how old are you? Yeah, that's about what I expect from the religious. Hey. Thanks, Casey. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do one of those. Okay. One sec here. Skunk not joining? Hello? No? Okay. All right. Yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God. And remember, if you don't immediately answer which God you believe in when I ask you, I'm dropping you. We're not going to play games. Hi, how old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay. What God do you believe in?
The God of Israel.
Okay. Well, like I said, you don't give me a direct, unambiguous answer, you're getting dropped. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. No, yeah, do you want to choose between no games or games, unlimited games, but no games? No, the God of Israel isn't an answer because there are multiple religions that believe in contradictory things that would say they believe in the God of Israel. So no, it is not an unambiguous answer. Hi, 3-3. How old are you?
18.
And what God do you believe in?
Really, every God.
All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Do you want to try this again? What God do you believe in?
Yahuwah is a God. Is the God? Look it up.
Okay. Well, I told you an unambiguous answer, and you won't give one, so nope.
What's up, bro?
Hi, how old are you?
19.
I'm sorry, how old are you?
19.
Okay, and what's your name?
Johnson.
Johnson? Okay, is this you just want to get the troll out now, or?
I'm not trolling.
Okay, what God do you believe in?
I believe in me. I'm God.
Okay, well, there you go. Okay. Well, I guess people want to try again. Oh. So fucking dumb. You get one opportunity. What God do you believe in?
Satan.
All right. You have anything? All right. Hi. How old are you?
35.
And what God do you believe in?
The only God.
All right. We're going to run through them real fast tonight. So one more time, just so everybody is fully clear on what's happening. If you come up, I will ask you what God you believe in. And if you don't directly, unambiguously answer that question in a way where I know exactly what you're talking about, then you will get dropped. That's it. I'm not playing games tonight. I'm not doing this bullshit. I'm not playing 20 questions and try to figure out for you what God you believe in. If you can't tell me what God you believe in, I'm just not going to talk to you. Do you have an unambiguous answer for what God you believe in?
Black God.
Okay. All right. Clearly not. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. My soul, how old are you?
30.
What God do you believe in?
A Christian God.
Look at that, everybody. It can be done. Thank you for being a positive example for everyone else. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
For me, the fact that there's no definitive answer that there isn't a God is proof to me.
But there is definitive reasons to think that there is no God.
Okay,
So that's just appealing to your own ignorance.
I feel like if the universe created itself and created life out of nowhere, that's God.
Who says the universe created itself?
What do you think? What do you think happened?
Who says
Or
the
was
universe
you
created
have to
itself?
create, so what happened? So
Who
you
says
can
the
enlighten
universe
me.
created itself?
Has the universe always just been here?
So you talked about the universe creating itself. Why is that relevant to this conversation?
Because that's pretty relevant.
Just saying that it's relevant doesn't tell me how it's relevant. How is that relevant to this conversation?
The Big Bang, if that's what you believe in, sounds like God to me.
So you're just not going to answer the question?
I'm not avoiding any question.
You are
I'm
avoiding the
explaining
question.
why.
So here's what I'll do.
I'm
I'll put the
explaining-
question up on the screen, and then you know exactly what the question is. So here's the question that I'm asking you, right? How is the universe can't create itself relevant to this conversation? Okay, what's the answer to that question?
I'm not sure. I feel like I already answered this question.
Well, you
It
didn't.
feels
So
like-
now I'm going to ask you one more time. And if you can't answer the question, then obviously you aren't actually prepared for this conversation. And I'll just move on. How is the universe can't create itself relevant to this conversation?
because if the universe is here, if life is here, if existence is here, something had to have created that. It did not create itself, and if it did, that
Why
is
did it have
God.
to be
That
created?
is God.
Why did it have to be created?
Everything has to be created. It can't
Oh,
just come from
so
nothing.
you're
if it
saying
was
that
always
so you're
darkness, it
saying
would
everything
stay
that
way.
exists has to be created?
It has to have started somewhere.
Yeah, everything that exists has to have been created.
Otherwise, why are we not just?
I'm
still
asking a
into
yes or
darkness?
no question, Soul. Are you saying that everything that exists has to have been created?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. And you agree that God exists, right?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So then we would say God has to have been created. The problem is that if God exists, then God wasn't created. So based on your argument, God doesn't exist. Which premise do you reject? 1, 2, or 3? I'll give you the cheat code. Reject 1. That was a dumb thing. You shouldn't have said it.
Okay. So, do you believe that the universe was always?
So
here by
1, 2, or
itself?
3?
I can't ask you questions.
Which one do you reject? No, not while you're in the middle. Well, you're supposed to be answering my question. No. So do you
Okay,
reject
no,
1,
I'll
2, or
take-
3?
I'll take away one. I'll take away one. Can I now ask you? Do you believe that the universe was always here?
Okay, so you agree that you would reject the idea that everything that exists has to have been created?
Yes, you enlightened me.
Okay, fantastic. What's your question?
Do you think that the universe was always just here by itself?
It depends on what you mean by always, and I know that that sounds like a dodgy answer, but I don't know if you mean, like, is there an infinite temporal past, if that's what you're asking me, or if you just mean, was there ever a state of existence where the universe didn't exist? Can you tell me which of
Yes,
those you
that's
mean?
what I'm asking. I'm asking this is the second question.
Okay, then yes, I think the universe always existed in that sense.
Okay. And how do you think existence for us happened without something bringing us awareness?
Yeah, it's just chemistry.
Okay. I guess I have nothing left to add. I don't feel any less about my opinion, and I know that you don't also, but if you want to convince me, can you please convince me in a way that almost anybody can understand of why God doesn't exist?
Yeah. So you agree that God knows things, right?
I would say he knows everything.
Yeah, fantastic. And knowledge is a mental state, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So that means that God has a mind.
Okay.
Okay. Now, minds obviously have at least one mental state, or they have a series of changing mental states, right?
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you agree that change only happens in time?
It depends on what type of change you're talking about.
Can you
change mind wise?
No, change in general. Can you tell me a type of change that can happen outside of time?
I mean, I know, not that I can think of.
Yeah, I think that change can only happen in time, because if something changes, that means it goes from being in one state of existence at one moment to a different state of existence at a different moment. So that's a transition from one moment to another, and transitions from one moment to another, that's just time. right? So as far as I can tell, change
Right.
can only happen in time.
Yeah, but that's like a linear way of thinking. If we're also thinking, okay, we're
Well, if you're
in a
saying there's a
fourth
type of
dimension,
change that
there's
can
a
happen
third
outside of
dimension,
time, I
there's a
have no
second.
idea what we would even be talking about. That doesn't even, like, I can't understand how that would even be change. So I would need you to
Nobody can.
explain to me how change can occur without a transition from one moment to another.
It's not something that we can comprehend, just like how a 2D image can't comprehend what 3D is.
Okay, so you
It's not
agree
something
that you
that we
can't
can
come up with
comprehend.
a type of change that could happen outside of time.
I would not be able to explain it with my own words. I'm not a fifth dimensional human.
Okay, so you agree that change, as far as you know, there is no change that can happen outside of time.
No, not that I know of. And
Right,
not
I
that
just
I
need
can
you to
say. But
directly
that
answer the
doesn't mean
question,
that.
Soul.
No,
Is it
I'm
is it
answering. I'm
correct?
answering no.
Is it correct
No.
that there is no type of change that you know of that happens outside of time?
No.
Okay, so as
Because
far
I'm
as
not a fifth dimensional creature.
so as far as both of us know, the only kind of change that exists is the change that happens in time, right?
Right.
Okay, fantastic. And since God is the creator of the universe, and time is a part of the universe, God must be outside of the universe and therefore outside time, right?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So change only happens in time. God's outside the universe, which means his mind is outside the universe, which means his mind cannot change. So he only ever has one unchanging mental state. The problem with that is that acting on your will requires a change of mental states. You have to go from the mental state, I intend to do X, to the mental state, I have done X. And maybe there's a middle mental state where you have the mental state, I am doing X. Either way, there have to be at least two mental states involved in acting on your will. Since God's mental state cannot change, that means that he doesn't have the capacity to act on his will. If he can't act on his will, he can't create. However, if God exists, he created the universe. Therefore, God does not exist.
I just don't think that is for our brains to comprehend.
Right. So what you're saying
It's
is that instead of actually engaging in the reasoning that I present to you, instead of actually thinking about this on your own and trying to figure out whether you still have a reason to believe what you believe, you're just going to keep believing what you believe even though it's illogical.
I don't know, man. I guess I'm going off of faith and my
Right. So
my
you're just
own
going to keep believing what you believe even though it's been exposed to you that it's illogical, right?
I also think that it's illogical that the
I'm
universe
asking you a direct
always
question.
existed
Is it
by itself.
correct that you're going to continue believing what you believe even though it's now been exposed to you that your position is illogical?
Yeah. But
Okay,
can I ask you
fantastic.
that same question?
No, we're not going to continue because now you're saying that you're going to continue holding an illogical position even after you know it's illogical. All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God.
Oh, perfect.
Hi, Bretta, how old are you?
20.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
Your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, buddy.
Okay, fair enough. And maybe somebody will want to have a serious conversation. Hi, GTA, how old are you?
Nigger.
Yeah, that's about the best they've got. Well, unfortunate. All right, yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide justification to believe in a God. Hey, thanks, Zipzop. Hi, Cell, how old are you?
Hey, I'm over 50.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
The one true God, the creator that...
All right, well, like I told everybody else, if you can't directly answer the question, I'm moving on. Well, how the fuck do I know which accounts look serious, man? What happened for Evercell is I'm not going to talk to people who can't directly answer the question, what God do you believe in? Zero bullshit. Either you answer the question or I'm not talking to you. That's it. It's simple. All right. Oh, let me check this. Really? Okay. What God do you believe in?
Yahweh.
Okay, I'm asking for an unambiguous answer. I'm going to give you one more opportunity. If you give me an answer that could refer to multiple versions of God, multiple religions, I'm dropping you. What God do you believe in?
Only one God.
All right. I did not ask how many gods you believe in. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. I don't know, Catholic thinker, why they can't answer the question. It's extremely frustrating, and I'm just not going to deal with it anymore. What happened now is you didn't answer the question, Cell. You didn't answer the question. I told you needed to give an unambiguous answer about what God you believe in, and you refused to do so. So I am not talking to you. No, Yahweh is the Jewish God and the Christian God. And yeah, I mean, the Muslim God you would call now Yahweh as well. They all believe in the Abrahamic God. So if you say Abrahamic God, or you say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or you say the God of Israel, or you say Yahweh, or you say any of that stuff, that doesn't tell me what God you believe in. If you can't tell me what God you believe in, then we can't have a conversation. Yeah, and a Canaanite God too, yeah. Hi, Chris. How old are you? Well, I can't hear you if you're off the app.
Can you hear me?
How old are you?
Oh, I'm 21 and I believe in the God of the Bible.
Do you mean the Christian Bible?
Yeah.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
I can't provide 100% evidence. I don't think you can 100% prove that God is real or isn't. But I wanted to ask you just a quick question, if that was okay.
I'm just asking for the argument or evidence for God. And I disagree with you. Of course, we can show for sure that God does not exist.
Can I ask you how?
Sure. Maybe you'll do better than the last person. I'll just give you the same argument. I'll go through it premise by premise. If that's okay with you, I'll just state the premise, and then you tell me if you agree or disagree, okay?
Is it the argument with when the dude said the universe be created or something like that?
No.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No problem. God has a mind. That's premise one. Do you agree?
I don't really know what that means. I would say no because he's not a human. What do you mean by mind?
Well, dogs have minds. They're not humans, right? Squids have minds. They're not humans. Like, I'm not saying God is...
minds?
No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But they're alive.
Right. But God knows things, right?
Right.
Right.
So
And
you would say that
knowledge
in mind.
knowledge is a mental state, right?
I really don't know, but for the sake of this argument, I would say yeah.
You don't know if knowledge is a mental state?
When we're talking about God, I don't know.
Okay, so I need
I don't
you,
even
other
say
than
that.
God, I need you to tell me one thing that has knowledge without mental states.
Well, I believe there's only one God, so
I
there would
didn't
be
I didn't
nothing
ask you for
without it.
anything about multiple gods. I said other than God, I need you to name one thing that has knowledge but no mental states.
I just answered that. I said I don't know any.
Okay. So as far as we know, I mean that's what knowledge is, right? Because okay, here's the thing. So knowledge is a type of belief. A belief is an attitude toward a proposition. Attitudes toward proposition, that's a thought, right? And where do thoughts exist? What is the only kind of thing that has thoughts?
Right, you would say the mind.
Yeah. So in order for anything to have knowledge, it has to have thoughts. And if thoughts only happen in minds, then anything that has knowledge has a mind, right?
Yeah, I get your point.
Okay, so God has a mind, right?
For the sake of this argument, yeah.
You think that, didn't you say that you're Christian? Like,
Yeah.
your Bible literally talks about times when God changes his mind. Do you think that the Bible talks about God's mind and him changing his mind and how he thinks about things, but he doesn't have a mind?
Well, like I said, I really don't know, but for the sake of this argument, to give you a clear answer, I'm going to say yeah.
Okay, so do you agree
Because
or do you agree or disagree with the Bible about God having a mind?
Yeah, I agree with the Bible, but what you're
Okay,
saying, I have
so
to read
the
that
Bible
myself.
says God has a mind, and you agree with the Bible. So your position is that God has a mind, right?
Again, for the sake of the argument, I'm going to say
I'm
yes.
not asking for the sake of the argument. Either you agree with the Bible or you don't. Do you agree with the Bible about God having a mind?
I do agree with the Bible.
Okay, so you think that God has a mind, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And do you agree that minds have either a series of changing mental states or only one unchanging mental state?
I would say a change of mental state.
Right, I'm saying that those are the only options because minds have to have at least one mental state, but they could have more than one. Like I obviously,
right.
My mental states change while I think about things. I'm sure yours do too. So
Right,
minds
right.
have to have at least one mental state, but could have a series of mental states, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you agree that change only occurs in time?
As far as we know of, yeah, to our human mind, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to say that change can't happen outside of time because if
As
there,
far as
if
we know.
well, just by the definition of what change is, because change is going from one state to a different state, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if something changes, it had a past configuration and a present configuration. Or we could say something is going to change if it has a present configuration and it will have a different future configuration, right?
Right.
Right. So that means that change relies on there being past, present, and future, right?
You don't think it's possible that change can happen outside of time? Do you think we have
No, that's
we
what I'm
have future
explaining
knowledge
to you
of
right
God?
now, and you're agreeing with me that change requires a past state and a present state, or a present state and a future state for future changes.
Yeah, as far as we know.
Right. So is that or is that not the only kind of change that we're aware of?
Yes, as far as we know, as far as we were.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a type of change that doesn't require a transition from one moment to another?
In time?
Is there any type of change that does not require that type of transition?
As far as we know, no.
I'm not asking as far as we know. I'm asking you to answer yes or no. Are you aware of a type of change that does not require a transition between states?
Again, I said no, as far as we know. I don't know.
Okay. I'm just not going to put up with the dishonest answers. If you can't answer questions directly after being told multiple times to answer directly, just not going to deal with it. Do not have the patience tonight. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus. You have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God, and that you can actually answer the questions that you're asked. The idea that chemical change doesn't require transition between states is insane. Like, obviously it does. You didn't answer my question. You didn't give me a direct answer. I told you you needed to give a direct answer, and you refused to do so. Doesn't look like space is connecting. Hi, Pulse. How old are you?
Nigger.
How many fucking... Unbelievable. Okay. Okay. We're gonna do one of these. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide justification to believe in a God. Yeah, the people who do that I can find, I block, but a lot of times they're gone and I can't find them. Hi, Gio, how old are you?
Put your bitch ass up, fat ass. Niggy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we expect. And that's Christianity. Yeah, that is all they've got. All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Thanks, Bradley. I appreciate that. Can I... Okay.
Hey, good night.
Hi, King. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Oh, what the fuck just happened? Okay, and what God do you believe in?
I believe in God Hestia.
What?
The Greek god Hestia.
Do you believe in an immaterial mind that created and sustains the universe?
No, that's not what Hellenism is. Do you know what Hellenism is?
Oh, well, I'm just looking to talk to people who believe in that type of God. So we would just be having a verbal dispute about what God means. So not really interested in the semantic dispute about what God means. That's fine. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus. You believe in a God, like in the Western conception, and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification for believing in God.
Yo.
Hi, LJ. How old are you?
I'm 18, bro. So, like, my argument would be, like, you said
what God do you believe
real.
in?
I believe in Jesus Christ.
Okay. And, yeah, so what's the best argument or evidence for God?
So, like, you said, why should I believe? So I think that the reason that you should believe is because what do you have to lose from not believing?
Okay, but I care about my beliefs being true, so what I'm actually interested in is why should I think it's true? So believing something means to think that it's true. So what would be the reason that I should think it's true that God exists, not why you think it's useful to believe in God?
I just think that, like, there's so much evidence and, like, people...
Yeah, that's
wrote
what I'm
the
asking
Bible,
for.
you know
What's the evidence for God?
Like the Bible.
How does the Bible provide evidence for God?
There just was eyewitnesses to seeing him.
To seeing what?
He was, when he made the person blind to see again. I mean,
yeah, name one eyewitness testimony that we have from that event.
Probably the ones, I mean, they're all dead now, but...
Yeah, but I want to just know, where can I read the eyewitness testimony of someone who saw Jesus heal a blind person?
I'm not sure where they said it at, but I've just heard that.
Yeah,
I've heard that there's evidence to that.
I know you've heard that. I've heard that too. But unlike you, I actually care whether or not the things I hear are true, so I looked
you have
into
evidence
it.
That he doesn't exist, though?
That God doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons. A real easy one. If you had a button that you could press and it would cure all cancer in the world, would you press it?
I mean, yes, I would.
Okay. So if God had a button that he could press that would cure all cancer in the world immediately, would he press it?
I don't know, man, because...
Well, it's a yes or no, and I will give you the cheat code here. The answer is no, and we know that because you think that God is all-powerful, so he already has that button available to him. If he was going to press it, then cancer wouldn't exist, so you already know by the fact that God doesn't cure all cancer immediately that God wouldn't do that. So I'll just ask you again to see if you actually have the ability to be honest about this. If God had the ability to cure all cancer instantly, would he do it?
No.
Okay. Is God all good?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that God always does the right thing, right?
Yes, but...
Okay, so in your position, in your opinion, from your perspective, the good thing is to not cure cancer when you have the opportunity, right?
I guess.
Okay, so then why... So your position, and I think that that's a really easy reductio there. So what you're saying is that even though... if you were given the ability to cure cancer, you would, but you agree, or your position is that would actually be the wrong thing to do, right? That would be an evil thing to do.
If everyone was cured from cancer...
That was nope, stop. Just to engage directly.
Yes.
Is it now your position that curing cancer, like if you had the button and you pressed it, that would be an evil thing to do?
No.
Okay, so you're saying that it would be a good thing to do.
It'd be a good thing to get rid of cancer, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Does God always do the best thing?
No, because there's
okay. So God. Okay, so here's what you said.
Cancer is being all cured.
All
right.
Going
to be
so
mad people living now. Like think about all the people that died from cancer.
God
If all those
exists,
people live,
then he
there's gonna be like
always
10 billion people on the earth
does.
at one time. And
Okay,
it's just
so
gonna
so
continue
actually,
to
what you're going to
grow.
do is you're just going to lean in even harder. Okay, fair enough.
The earth.
All right, fair enough. Obviously, if God is good, and God always does the best thing, and it's the best thing to do would be to cure cancer, then God would cure cancer. So God doesn't exist. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God.
Hello.
Hi. What's your name?
My name. Can I not disclose my name if it's okay?
Well, what do I call you? I'm not going to call you account not found.
Okay, my bad. You can just. I really don't know. You can call me like. I don't know, whatever name you want to call me, just call me.
Okay, Jeff. How old are you, Jeff?
I just turned 18 like a month ago, so.
Oh, that's gross. What God do you believe in?
I believe in Allah, which is God in Islam.
Yeah. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
What? Sorry, you cut off. I didn't hear.
What is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
For me, I just believe that because sometimes I question myself, like, how is everything created? How is everything? The world is so complex with like many formulas. You can see like physics.
Why should we think?
Complex.
Why should we think that the universe was created?
Because nothing can be created. Like you can't just have something and it wouldn't have someone that created it. Like if you see,
so you're saying
for example,
I don't. So what you're saying, Jeff, is that everything that exists has a creator.
I mean, everything that exists no, like it depends because there is.
So why should I
levels,
think that the universe was created? Was the question.
Because like the universe can't come out of nowhere.
That wasn't my question. That's not an answer to my question. I'm not saying that it came out of nowhere. I never said anything about it coming out of nowhere. I'm asking you, why should I think that the universe was created?
Why you think the universe was created?
Why should I believe that the universe was created? What is the argument or evidence that would lead to that conclusion?
What could lead to that conclusion is that can I give you like a hypothetical question?
No, I'm asking you to give me the argument or evidence that would give me reason to conclude that the universe was created.
You know that I can't give you a 100% answer.
I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for that. Now you're just trying to poison the well to make it seem like I'm being unreasonable. I'm not being unreasonable. I'm asking you because your argument for God relies on the universe being created. So it is important in order for me to be able to understand your argument that I have a reason to believe that the universe was created. So what is the reason to believe that the universe was created?
Because if you think like vast, huge universes, galaxies, and planets, and in these planets we were created, and we have a purpose to do, like where we live.
Stop rambling. Why should I think that the universe was created?
I mean, that's your opinion that you should do.
Okay, so you agree. So you agree, Jeff. So Jeff, you agree that there is no reason to think the universe was created. You just believe it because you believe it.
I can't enforce something you should believe.
I'm not asking you to enforce anything. I'm not asking you to tell me what I should believe. I'm asking you for the argument or evidence that would lead me to the conclusion that you've reached. What is the reason or the evidence, the argument, anything that would give a reason to believe the universe was created?
Sure. So you want evidence? Do you want scientific or Islamic from the Quran?
Well, obviously, I'm not going to care what's in the Quran. What's the reason to believe the universe was created that doesn't require me to already believe in God because that's what you're arguing for?
Sure, so can I get you scientific facts, if that's okay? Because you believe in science.
Whatever argument or evidence would give reason to believe in God, or the universe being created without having to already assume God exists. So stop asking me, just give me the argument or the evidence.
Sure, can I give you, can I...
Stop asking the question, Jeff. Just give me the argument or the evidence.
Alright, sure.
Unbelievable. Do 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 do. Be deedle doodle do 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 do. Boo do 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 do. Well, I'm not gonna wait much longer, Jeff.
Sure. If you if you think like if you see like
Okay. If you
sorry
have
for
to,
shutting-
yeah. Please stop going off the app. Just tell me the reason to think the universe was created.
because the finite like the universe and it's finite, like there are 8 billion people in the world. I can give you so many evidence, but I can't tell you because I don't know m equals square, bro.
Just tell me the reason to believe the universe was created. This is the last time I'm asking.
Sure, like I don't know how to explain it to you, but I don't know how to, I don't
You
know
don't
how
have to
explain it
explain it in some crazy complex way. Just tell me the thing that that would convince a reasonable person that the universe was created.
because everything that was created, everything that existed has a creator.
Oh,
Everything
okay.
that exists has a
Sure.
creator.
Yeah, absolutely. Fine, fantastic. So you're saying everything that exists has a creator, right?
Yes.
And Allah exists, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. And you would agree that if Allah exists, he doesn't have a creator?
What?
You would agree that if Allah exists, he doesn't have a creator, right?
Comparing humans and
That's not my question. Do you think that if Allah exists, that he does or does not have a creator?
He does not have a creator because
Okay,
he's
fantastic.
one and absolute, and he's beyond.
So the conclusion
he's
one
beyond
here is
time.
that
He's beyond
Allah
time and
has a creator. If Allah exists, he doesn't have a creator. So that means that Allah does not exist. So, do you want to reject 1, 2, or 3? Or agree with me that your God doesn't exist?
I mean, if you can, it's like saying, let me give you a hypothetical because I've
No,
been
we're
in
not doing
debates
that.
and
You're
other-
saying 1, 2, or 3. If you say anything other than 1, 2, or 3, I'm just going to move on.
You guys always do this move, and
Yeah, I know. We always do this move where we try to get you to actually engage in the argument, and you always do the move where you refuse to engage in the argument. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Laura. How old are you?
How's it going? Hey, how's it going? I'm 18.
And what God do you believe in?
The Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Remember, when you was talking to one guy and you said, did God have a mind and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Could you run that argument through me? Because I kind of want to, see, because you said that it proves 100% that God could not exist.
I don't know about 100%, but I do think that it is very strong evidence that does give us reason to think that God doesn't exist. Yeah, premise 1, God has a mind. Do you agree?
Yeah, because he's all-knowing, right? So he has to for someone to be all-knowing, he should have a mind, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you can't know things unless you have beliefs, because knowledge is a type of belief. You can't have beliefs unless you have thoughts about things, and you can't have thoughts unless you have a mind.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
And do you agree that minds have mental states, either one unchanging mental state or a series of changing mental states?
Well, a mind thinks about a lot of things, and
Right, but bare minimum, a mind has to have at least one mental state, right?
Yes, yeah.
But most of the minds that we're familiar with, our own and other people's, that kind of stuff, have a series of changing mental states, but it's possible that a mind could have one. That just has to have at least one, or it's not a mind, right?
What would you define a mental state?
I mean...
I'm sorry, never mind.
Well, I mean, that seems kind of brute. I mean, let me look this up and see what definition I get. Mental state is the state of mind of a person. Yeah, I feel like you're only going to really get synonyms.
Yeah, okay. All right, never mind.
A person, a being's current condition of mind, covering emotions, thoughts, and perceptions. Yeah, so I mean, like a thought would be a mental state, an emotion would be a mental state, pain I would say is a mental state, right? It's just going to be any like phenomenological experience.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can agree with your second premise then.
Okay, and then premise 3 would be that change only occurs in time.
Change only occurs inside of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like God is like outside of time, right? He surpasses time in existence.
That wasn't my question.
Okay.
Do you agree that change only occurs in time?
I guess yes. Yes, I would say so.
A motivating
Because-
argument I would give for that is if nothing happens, then nothing changes. I think that's pretty obvious. Then the contrapositive of that would be that if something changes, then something happened. I think that's pretty easy to see that that's true. So that means that if it's true that if something changes, then something happened, that means it's true that all changes are happenings. That's just like they're the same thing. A change is a happening, but all happenings are the same as events. Something happens, that's an event that occurred, but all events are in time. So what that means is that since all changes are events and all events are in time, all changes are in time. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. And you're saying like there has to be, for a change to happen, there has to be something in the past and something in the future, right?
Yeah, or like, yeah, it has to have a past state and a present state, or a present state and a future state, or maybe all three, past, present, and future. Otherwise, it can't change.
Therefore, it is a part of time. Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
I understand that.
And since God is the creator of the universe, and the universe is inside of time, and also because God is ultimate and supposed to be the source of all things that aren't himself, that must mean that God is outside of time, right?
Yes.
Because if God was inside time, then that time would be more fundamental than him, and then he wouldn't be ultimate, and he couldn't have created it. Okay. So because God is outside of time, he can't experience change, which means his mind cannot change, which means he cannot have a change of mental states, which means that God only ever has one unchanging mental state for all of eternity. So from there, we would say that acting on your will...
Wait, why do you believe he only has one changing mental state again?
One unchanging mental state?
One
it's because
unchanging
of the
mental state.
Yep, because we said God has a mind, which means that he has at least one mental state, if not a series of mental states. But a series of mental states would mean the mental states are changing. And since God is outside of time, he can't change, which means his mental state can't change. So he only ever gets one unchanging mental state for all of eternity. The problem with that...
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, all right.
The problem with that is that acting on your will requires your mental states to change. You have to go from the mental state, I intend to do X, to the mental state, I have done X. Now, for me, I know, like, for example, like if I go to brush my teeth, I have the mental state first, I'm going to go brush my teeth. Then for, a couple of minutes, I have the mental state, I am brushing my teeth. And maybe, other mental states, random thoughts that happen during brushing my teeth. And then when I'm done, I put my toothbrush away and I have the mental state, I have brushed my teeth, right? And that's what acting on your will is. If I have the will to, write a computer program, it's going to be, I have the will to do it. I'm in the process of doing it. I have done it. Okay. And so since acting on your will it requires a change of mental states, and we've found that God's mental states cannot change, that means that it's logically impossible for God to act on his will. However, if he can't act on his will, he can't create the universe, but we know that if he exists, then he did create the universe, and so therefore, by the power of modus tollens, God does not exist.
I gotta search something up, figure out the best argument behind that, but I don't really think you can.
I think that the only way that you would be able to deal with this, let me think. I don't think you can reject God having a mind. I don't think it makes any sense to reject that minds have either changing or mental states or one unchanging mental state. I don't think that, I think the change only occurs in time is the thing. I don't think you can show that's wrong, but I think that's kind of where you would have to go. Because you can't say God exists inside time because then he's not ultimate, which means he's not God anymore. You could, I think that change happening in time is like the main thing that you'd have to try to find an account of change that doesn't require a transition between states of existence. But as far as I can tell, that's all change is. Change is just a thing having contradictory properties in different states of existence, right? Like, for example, it's not possible for me to be sitting and not sitting at the same time, right?
Right.
Right. So if I change from sitting to not sitting, there would be a contradiction for those to both happen in the same state of existence. So it has to be a transition from one state of existence to another, and existence transitioning from one state to another is just time.
I mean, so why do you think people are still Christian then? I feel like, Christianity has done a lot of good things in the world.
Yeah, but it's done a lot of bad things too, right? Like the Catholic Church going to Africa and telling people that they can't use birth control or, protection for sex has caused tons and tons of spreading of disease, and lots of people have died because of it. Now, they could have provided protection, they could have provided condoms, but the Catholic Church is against contraception, and therefore they refused to provide the condoms that they could provide and caused a lot of people to die that didn't have to die. Right? So that's the kind of stuff that the Catholic Church does. Or the Catholic Church will venerate people like Mother Teresa, a person who said that it's a good thing when children starve to death. Right? Like, I know that everybody thinks Mother Teresa is this great person, but she was a fucking horrible, evil human being. And that's the kind of people that religions prop up, right? I mean, think about how many other religions are there? Like Islam. They're the prophet of Islam, the main person that they look to for guidance, was a fucking pedophile. Like,
yeah, I do agree that the prophet of Muhammad is a pedophile.
Right. But the problem is that look at how much that happens in Christianity. Again, I mean, not that you're Catholic, but another great example is the Catholic Church intentionally, knowingly protecting pedophiles, moving them from one church to another so that they could continue abusing children, and the church wouldn't have to deal with the publicity of one of their priests being arrested for child abuse. And the only reason that they did that is out of loyalty to the religion, because they thought that that was what they were supposed to do. They needed to be loyal to their religion. I think that religion is a bad thing. I think the only good thing that religion offers is the community, and we can absolutely have community without religion.
So you would consider yourself an anti-theist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that believing in God requires faith, and I think faith is the most poisonous, evil thing that exists. Like, I think faith is worse than all the other evil things, not because a single instance of faith is as bad as a single instance of child abuse or something like that. That would be insane. Obviously, like, one child being abused is much worse than one person having some benign, faith-based position. However, I think that faith existing in humanity is one of the reasons why so much child abuse happens, why so much genocide happens, why all this needless death happens, needless suffering. I think that without faith, the world would be an immeasurably better place. Would all bad things go away? Of course not. Absolutely not. But a lot of bad things would go away.
Well, I feel like a lot of, like, how would you teach kids to grow up with some sense of moral value without Christianity, right? How would you go about that?
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem at all. I think that you just teach them to value life, to value agency, to value their own humanity, and tell them that the humanity in themselves that they value is the exact same humanity in every other human. Right? So if they value humanity, like I'm reading a book on morals right now by a philosopher named Christine Korsgaard, and one of the things that she talks about a lot, I don't agree with her on everything, but one of the things that she talks about a lot is that that in order for us to like, when we make decisions, we are, because we're reflective agents, we're reflecting on the options available to us, like all of our different desires and impulses and the different reasons we have to do things, and then we're using some standard or other to give ourselves a directive of what thing we should do based on all the factors that we've considered and reflected on. But the only way that we could consider ourselves worthy enough to make a decision like that is if we value our reflective agency and value the humanity that reflective agency comes from. And if we value humanity enough to listen to what the results of our humanity tell us to do, then we should value humanity in all of its forms everywhere that it exists. I think it's a very easy thing to say that because you value yourself based on your own humanity, your own agency, that you should value all other humans and agents as well.
Okay. So since God has a mind, has what was the second premise?
Here, let me throw it up on the screen and you can like take a screenshot or something.
All right, I'll take a screenshot of it.
And
because I do want to come back. I'm gonna talk to my pastor and bring this up to him, and see if he can bring a good reason why. Because I mean, as a Christian, like I try not to take the Bible super literal. Like when I was, like, of course, when you're a younger teenager, or like when I was like 12 or 13, I would take the Bible very literally. But I feel like you can't take the Bible too literally, right? Because I mean, you can't. There's like some stories in the Bible that you just can't really take actual literally. Like you just can't.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of problems in the Bible for sure. I took the Bible very seriously when I was younger as well. But when I was 15, I decided that I cared whether my beliefs were true or not. And since I thought that Jesus was real and that Christianity was true, I thought that if I just go out and search for truth without assuming what the answer would be, that search would bring me back to Jesus, and I would have an even stronger faith than I started with. Well, the problem is, as soon as I gave myself permission in my mind to search for truth without assuming the conclusion, I immediately realized that I didn't have any reason to think it was true that Jesus was God.
Did you bring it up on the screen yet?
I did. I had it up there for quite a while.
Oh, you did? Oh, my bad.
It's up there now.
Yep, I just screenshot it. Okay.
All right. Well, I do
Thank
appreciate the conversation. Feel free to come back, and maybe next time you'll convert me. But we'll talk again, hopefully, and you take care of yourself.
All right.
Oh, I'm evil. I cut him off too early. Thought he was done. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Trucker. How old are you?
40-something.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
Let's just go ahead and say Christian, but Allah, Buddha, all of them will work. Krishna, all of them will work.
What?
I read a few books along the way.
That's fine that you've read some books. That's great. I just want to know what you actually believe in currently. And it's not possible to believe that the Christian God exists and that Allah exists and that, the Hindu religion is also true. Like, that's not possible. That would be believing in a contradiction. If you believe in contradictions, then you're not worth talking to. So I just need to know if you actually have a rational God belief or not.
But you don't get to determine what I believe in.
Okay, you're correct about that. All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Didn't we just talk like yesterday or something?
What?
Didn't we just talk?
No.
How old are you?
Nigger.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah. Well, I don't know why it didn't drop him. That's frustrating. Okay. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Drewski. How old are you? Hello. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Yay, how old are you?
Hi, I'm 20.
And what God do you believe in?
Actually, I don't believe in any God. I was curious about your views on the origin of the universe. Because I can't find any of you.
You can't find what?
Talking about. I cannot find videos of you talking about what you believe in. I just want to understand.
Okay. Well, what I would recommend if you want to know about the origin of the universe is look into people like Dr. Blitz. Quantanaut, people who talk about, physics, cosmology from a much more educated place than I can. But just a brief overview, I don't believe that the universe has an origin. I don't know whether the past is infinite or not, or I don't know whether the future will be infinite or not. But either way, I think that we live in a B-theory universe where however much, time, however long the timeline is, I just think the entire universe has always existed without beginning or end. Again, whether there's a temporal beginning or end, I don't know.
Yeah, because I've been hearing that you talk a lot about time, but I get confused because if time itself began with the universe, then how could the initial state come to exist? Does that make sense? Like, I don't think that has been answered. So I get really confused and frustrated.
Well, so the way that I would think about it is like, think about like when you, do you have a job?
No.
Okay, but there's like, what's a place that you go to? Like, is there like a store that you go to, or something that you like to go to? Like a friend's house? Just pick a place in your mind. It doesn't. A university. Okay, fine.
University.
Okay, wherever it is. So let's just imagine that. Think about the path that you have to take to get there, right? Mm-hmm. When you start at your house and you are going to go to wherever you're going, your journey has to begin at your house on the sidewalk outside your house, and then it doesn't end until you get there, right?
Yeah.
But the sidewalk and the roads that you have to travel on, those don't come into or go out of existence based on your journey beginning or ending, right?
Yeah.
Right. They always exist. It's just temporally you use them for a path. You know what? Even a better analogy. Oh shit, you're young. Do you know what a VHS tape is, or like a cassette tape?
Yes.
Okay, like a movie rule. So like on a VHS tape, you could take the film out and you could lay the whole thing out, and you would be able to see every frame of the movie, right? And when you watch the movie, it has a definitive beginning and a definitive ending, but that doesn't mean that the film comes into existence when you start playing the movie, and it doesn't mean that it goes out of existence when you stop playing it. The whole thing exists. Whether or not you experience it linearly as a movie just depends on whether you're engaging it with it in that way. Now, us as four-dimensional beings having a three-dimensional experience, we're engaging in with time in a way where it seems like time is passing, right? However, time doesn't, as far as we can tell, the passage of time is an illusion that our mind creates because of the way that we exist, the type of being that we are. But time doesn't actually pass, right? It all exists, kind of like a videotape. The whole block of the universe all exists as one big four-dimensional thing, and the timeline is just one of the dimensions along which the universe is extended, right? So you can think about length, you can think about width, you can think about depth or height, and all those, like a cube that's sitting on the, like if I had I've got this little fidget cube. This cube has the length and the width, right, and the height, regardless of what's happening with it. And in the same way, from my perspective, and my position is that it also, the timeline aspect of it is also the same. Like it has the beginning of its existence and the end of existence all already existed. We just are interacting with time in a way where we experiencing it coming into and going out of existence.
But doesn't that conflict you?
No.
Because I don't know. I know that I don't have the coefficient to understand that.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to recommend, because I don't think I'm the best person to talk about this, I recommend that you look into something called the B theory of time, or another word for it is eternalism. But B, like the letter B, like the name Bruce. So look up the B theory of time. Okay?
Okay, super.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Can you tell me what God you believe in?
Jehovah.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more time, and I need an unambiguous answer, because that doesn't apply to multiple different traditions that contradict each other. So what God do you believe in?
Okay. Let's go with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Let's rest right there.
I don't know why. Like, is it just that embarrassing to be a Christian that you can't just answer the question? Like, can you help me understand? Is it because you're embarrassed to be a Christian that you won't just say you're a Christian when you're asked?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a Christian.
Oh my God. All right, I'm not going to do this. All right, that was my bad for even asking. I knew that I was going to get a bullshit, stupid answer. I should have known. If you're in the guest queue, nothing is made of energy. That's not how it works. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Yeah, I know. I thought maybe he was requesting because he was ready to be, good faith, but clearly not. Hi, Drewski, can you hear me? Are you there? Still not there? Fair enough. Where is this? What the fuck? This is annoying. Oh, well, it turns out you have to press the right button to get it to do what you want it to do. Okay, so when is that? That was... Okay. Okay. All right. I apologize, Aljo. I've talked to you 2 of the last 3 days. I don't want to talk to you again so quickly. I don't like to have the same conversations. So maybe come back in a week or 2 and we can chat again. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Brumpt. How old are you?
Hey, I'm 22, and I will say right now that I am an atheist, so I'll be out here pretty quick. But I did just want to clear up a little something about time and the Big Bang. I did like your explanation, but I do think that it might have been a little hard to follow for some people who,
that's why I said over and over again not to listen to me on that. I tried to give my best, but I think you should go look at physicists. Is there some specific question or something quickly that you can...
absolutely. It's just scientists don't claim that time started with the Big Bang.
Right.
And that's kind of it. Follow Ogre's advice to where to go find information. Other than that, that's what I got to say.
All right. Have a good one. Yeah, we do talk about the Big Bang pretty frequently. Like this survey that was done. I can't remember the name of the physics magazine. American... Now I got to look it up again because it's going to bug the shit out of me. Largest physics survey. American Physical Society's Physics Magazine. Yeah, okay, so that's the name of it. The American Physical Society's Physics Magazine had this survey conducted. They had about 1,700 respondents to most of the questions. There were like 1,675 responses to this one, and it says that the physicists and cosmologists that were surveyed, the vast majority of them overwhelmingly said that the Big Bang is a theory that says the universe evolves from a hot, dense state. That says nothing about whether there was an absolute beginning of time or not. So the Big Bang is not evidence for a beginning of time or of the universe. I've tried to let Drewski in multiple times. Okay, it doesn't seem like Matricom Chicago is joining either.
Yes, hello? Hello?
Hi, how old are you?
Me, I'm 49.
Okay, what God do you believe in?
I'm a Christian, and I started off in the same sort of belief system where you're at.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us reason to believe in God?
I'll try to say this quickly. Let's just say that there were 100 of us in a room. It's a white room. We don't have bodies, whatever. We just have, or we're just there. Or maybe we have bodies, doesn't matter. But we know nothing about the world, nothing about anything. And then there's a person that's up on the stage. There's a stage there. and a
All
samurai.
right, I'm already done with this, Metricom.
Wait,
Just
well,
tell me
wait,
the
wait,
argument or
before-
evidence for God.
That's what I'm trying.
Yep,
to
I don't want to hear the story. Just get to it.
Okay, if that person was there and they were being
Okay,
cut,
I'm done
or
with the
whatever,
story.
they-
I'm done with the
okay,
story.
all right.
So you
The
can either
evidence-
give an argument or evidence for God, or I'm moving on.
I just think that when I had my children,
I don't really
I
care
think
about
that-
your personal experiences. What's the argument or evidence to believe in God?
and that's it. I think that if there is some sort of temperature
Okay.
gauge in all of us,
I
that-
don't
that's-
care. I don't care. Is there
Yeah.
any argument or evidence for God?
I mean,
If it's just your fee-fees, it's just like, oh, I felt like there's a God. I don't give a fuck. Like, I feel like there's no God.
Right.
That doesn't mean that anyone should believe or not believe based on my feeling. Even me, I should not believe or not believe based on my feeling. So, knowing that feelings are bullshit and don't give us any reason to believe or not believe something, especially something about whether or not a God exists, is there
Right,
any
but
reason to believe in a God?
The temperature gauge that I think that is inside of all of us, whether it be
Okay, I don't give a fuck about this temperature gauge. That's just intuition. Is there any non-intuition related reason to believe in a God?
Well, I believe that God is love, and that's
okay. Well, that's not a reason to believe in God. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are an adult and have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Hi, Drewski. How old are you? Yeah,
I'm 37.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
You can hear me. Oh, thank goodness. My AI took over the thing. Sorry about that. But I don't really believe exactly. I know there's a creator. That's what I know, and I believe in truth. I believe in tangible evidence. I want to tell you real quick. You're very smart. I'm telling you, dude. I don't see many people like you, so I just give you the compliment of you're very wise man. You got a lot of intelligence, and you're not going the wrong way. Just keep searching for the truth. For one, that's a big thing I want to say. But other than that, now God, the reason you want to know the reason why I believe He's real, or you want tangible evidence?
I want any evidence or argument that would provide justification to believe that God exists.
For one, okay, you ever do the lottery? You know how they do the probability? So take every single thing you have in this world, all the animals, all their habitats, and how weird and all the things in this world, and everything how it's perfectly put together. Have you ever done the probabilities how if that could come together without a creator?
It seems like the probability is 100% because it happened. It did come together without a creator. If you think there's a reason to believe in a creator, then give me the reason to believe in the creator. Just assuming that there's a creator and that it would be unlikely without a creator doesn't give us reason to believe in a creator.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look. I have to go either way. But the only thing I needed to come and tell you was one thing. Look, if you don't believe, you get up and ask for belief, because my first prayer was, "Hey, show yourself, motherfucker. I don't believe in you."
Okay, well, I'm not going to ask someone that doesn't exist to show themselves to me. So again, that just requires assuming that God exists, right? Okay, I'm going back to the old prompt because this is killing me. I don't know how much of a difference this will make, but hopefully some. All right. Okay, holy shit. I haven't said anything for a long time, but you guys are supporting, and I appreciate it so fucking much. Thank you to Poopman Jones, Anna, Nobody on Fire, Lupine, Alan Gibson, both sides, Mr. Christ. That's great. Patrina, Bradley Cooper, thank you so much for being here, for helping me out. Same to all my mods. I appreciate you all both, Jesus Christ. I appreciate you all so much. KC, thank you so much. Ghost, Mr. Christ again, Lupine, I love you. Bear, thank you. Peace, that's nice. Thank you. Zips Up the Wise, fuck yeah, thank you so much. Radio Spencer, Lupine, Kimchi, thank you again. Jennifer Johnson, oh fuck yeah, Kimchi, thank you so much. Jennifer Johnson, Decon Blue, Murphy, that's awesome, thank you. Mikey, Donna, Lupine, thank you so much. Donna, Murphy again, holy shit. Bertram, sincerely appreciate you. Vinny, what is that? Murphy again, Lupine, Drewski, even supporting, thank you. Dabnese, Drewski sent a bunch of stuff, thank you. Holy shit. Oh, I didn't expect to see that. Cool Beans, thank you so much. Oh, Nick, fuck yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. Just K, thank you. Kimchi, again, thank you so much. And Lupine, of course, thank you. I appreciate you all sincerely. Okay, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God. All right, I'll bring up the next person. Well, I appreciate you, Nick. Thank you. Hi, Marky. How old are you?
Hello, I'm 19.
Okay, what God do you believe in?
I'm a Christian, so Jesus.
Okay, and then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Yes. So I just actually came across you, so I don't know too much about.
Whoa!
Like I know.
I don't remember giving consent for that.
So my.
I thought it was funny. Clearly, you didn't. All right. Sorry for the interruption. What do you got?
So okay, I just want to ask a question. I know you want evidence, and this is the first thing that I could think of, or one of the first things. Was like my whole family, like I got raised up this kind of a way and everything. So just a yes or no if you would accept me telling you something that like my grandma went through before she passed away. If that is any type of evidence, or do you not accept that?
No, because it wouldn't be evidence. Now, what I would need, if you want to talk about things like that, like personal experiences, like kind of that kind of like first person evidence like that, what I would need is for you to provide some kind of tool that I can use to determine whose interpretations of their personal experiences I should believe and whose I shouldn't. Do you have a way for me to tell, like when I have, you, a Christian, coming to me with a personal story, and a Muslim and a Hindu and an atheist and a whole bunch of people from different contradictory belief systems telling me that they have personal experiences that confirm their belief, how would I tell which of them to believe and which ones not to?
Yes. I would. The only thing I had was just like I would just want to share it. I just wanted to see what someone like you thinks about it, like what you would actually think about it. If you would tell me like, hey, no, that was just a vision, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to see your side of things, even if we both don't, completely agree with each other.
Well, most likely the best I'm going to be able to say is I don't know what happened or why it happened. And that's going to be it, right? And just saying I don't know why this thing happened does not give us a reason to draw conclusions about what might be the answer for why it happened, right? Now, I know it's not the most enjoyable or preferable thing to not have answers to these burning questions, but sometimes the honest answer is I don't know. The honest answer sometimes just is the uncomfortable answer that we don't want to accept. But as far as I can tell, the answer to why that happened is just going to be I don't know. Like, for example, when people say that they got like abducted by aliens, well, I have no idea what's happening to them or why they think they were abducted by aliens. I don't think that aliens exist, but until I have reasons to believe in aliens, I'm just going to have to say I don't know what happened to those people.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I can see that point. I'll just because I'm not gonna share it without you letting me, right? But I do have one point, and that is like, okay, someone saw this and she shared it and she's seen it with her own eyes in real time. Like, is that a different thing?
No, because every religion has that, right? There are lots of people who, have experiences. There are people who have been visited by the Egyptian gods. I used to know people who were extremely into the Norse pagan religion, and they were 100% serious that they had been visited by, Freya or Thor or whoever their like patron god of that religion was. I know people who are into Wicca who believe that genuinely they can perform magic because the goddess gives them the power to do so. Like, and these are people who will tell you, specific days and times when they performed magic. Now, I don't believe in magic, but I do believe that they genuinely have had experiences that convince them of the things they believe, and I don't know the explanation for those experiences that they've had, but not knowing isn't enough reason for me to accept that their interpretation is correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I get that. I just thought maybe you would accept, but I understand. I mean, I know, like, on your side of things, you're like, that's not a reason for you to just, start from that reason thinking that, there is a God. But I just, for my religion, I hope you can see this, like us having the same religion and then my grandma sharing that right before she passed was kind of a, like, I don't know if you know what that, means or feels like, but whether you think my religion isn't right or me thinking yours isn't, it was a good feeling though. Like,
no, I get that.
It's tough to explain. Tough to explain.
I mean, I've had experiences myself. Like, I mean, when I was a kid, I grew up Christian, right? Both of my parents were divorced. So when on the weekends I was with my mom, I went to one church, and on the weekends I was with my dad, I went to a different church. So like I grew up in multiple Christian churches. There was when I was a little kid, my grandma on my mom's side was very sick. She had cancer. So for a big chunk of my childhood, she actually lived with us, right? And my aunt lived with us. So we all lived, my mom, her 5 kids, and then my aunt and my grandma, we all lived in one big house so that my mom and my aunt could take care of my grandma as she was moving toward the end of her life when her cancer got really bad. So when I was a kid, I watched her deteriorate. Now, she was a Christian, my mom was a Christian, and I was a Christian, and we all believed in that stuff. And so, like, there were lots of times things happened during her illness and her, progression towards the end of her life that seemed like supernatural experiences. And then after she passed, I remember her visiting me in dreams. And I didn't even know this until a couple of years ago, but my mom also had dreams where her mother visited her. So my grandma visited me in dreams and visited my mom in dreams. And back then, I believed that my grandma really visited me in my dreams. And I cannot tell you how horrible I felt when I was talking to my mom about my deconversion. And she told me that she'd been deconverting because of conversations we had when I was younger. And I told her I don't believe in an afterlife. And then she started crying because she's like, well, does that mean that when your grandma visited me in my dream, that wasn't real? And then I had to be like, oh my God, this is what I meant to do. Right. So like, I know how important those experiences are to people. I've had them myself. I've had conversations about these things with people in my family that have had these experiences. I know that they seem really real. However, they only seem that real because we're aligning them with the things that we already believe. And if we're honest about it, we can say, like, yes, I did have a dream where my grandma visited me, but of course I did. She was extremely on my mind. I was super, like, emotionally invested in the fact that she had just passed away. Like, I remember them bringing me downstairs to say goodbye to her dead body on the gurney before the medics took her away because she died in her bed. Right? Like, these were, like, super important experiences to me at that time. Of course it was in my dreams. But the fact of the matter is, I also had dreams where I could fly. I also had dreams where I could fucking shoot fireballs out of my hands and shit. Like, that stuff wasn't any more real than my grandma visiting me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna, dude, I'm just trying to have a fair, like, just conversation. One more thing and then I gotta go. But it might be a dumb question, a smart question, I have no idea. But something I always wanted to ask, like an atheist, is, okay, do you believe any points whether you think it would, like, clarify that Jesus is not real or real? Like, do you believe anything in the Bible?
You keep getting cut off, Marky. Are you asking me if I believe that Jesus actually?
Do you think that actually
you keep getting cut off. You keep getting cut off. Can you hear me?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Are you just asking me if I believe
Yes.
that Jesus actually existed?
If the Bible is real.
I think that the Bible is real in the sense that it is a book that exists. I think that it does have some historical information in it, like it refers to battles that really happened and cities that really existed and even some people that really existed. But I certainly don't believe in any of the supernatural claims, just like I wouldn't believe any of the supernatural claims from historians that, claim that Zeus came down and had sex with women, or the historians who claim that Aristeus rose from the dead and traveled with Apollo as a raven. Like I don't believe any. There are lots of historical texts that do have historical information in them that also make supernatural claims that I don't believe in. I treat all of them the same.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate the conversation,
hey,
and I hope it.
I'm not.
Yeah, I hope you have a good one, man. Take care of
I'm
yourself.
not-
I think there was a delay at the end there. It got kind of hard to communicate, but. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Maybe Shiloh's not going to join. Doesn't look like Shiloh's coming up. All right. Hi, Anthony. How old are you? Or not? Never mind. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Brian. How old are you?
52.
Can you do anything about the background noise?
I'm 52. I just want to ask you, do you believe in spirit?
No.
You do not? Well, I can prove they are.
Okay. Well, I can barely hear you talking, and the background noise is going to drive me nuts. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Inside of a kiln? Yeah, sounds about right. Hi, Preston. How old are you?
$19.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
Jesus.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Well, I believe in him, and I can't grasp any other concept, so he must be real.
Fair enough. I mean, you got me on that one. I mean, who could possibly argue with that? Thanks for the support, Accidentally Atheist and Wandering Ragnar and Lupine. Appreciate you all. All right. All right. Yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Roger. How old are you?
I'm 33.
And what God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Yeah, so I thought you've had some bad luck with like the last 6 callers, but the guy that had asked if you believe in the Bible and you had said you believe it's a book. So when it comes to the historical Jesus, is that something that you would affirm?
No. I'm willing to grant it for the sake of conversation. I just don't actually think that there's sufficient evidence to conclude that he did exist. I think that there's some evidence that he may have existed, but I don't think it's conclusive. Just like I think that there's some evidence that he didn't exist at all and was just made up, but I don't think that's conclusive either. I would stay agnostic to whether he was a real person.
Okay, and I promise I don't want to bore you with Jesus mythicism arguments, but what would the burden of proof be to show that at least Jesus existed?
I think that really what we would need for me to be confident that he existed would be something contemporary, something written in his own hand, or even something written about him by somebody during his lifetime. But we don't have anything like that. We have no firsthand eyewitness accounts of him even being alive or doing anything, much less evidence to believe any of the supernatural claims about him.
Gotcha. Okay. Would you apply that burden of proof for other first century historical figures that most historians, the consensus would be is that they did, that we would have to have something from their own hand?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm not someone who's going to take the positive position that a particular purported historical figure actually existed, unless I'm aware of sufficient evidence to do so. And because I'm not a history buff, I don't really have a strong position on, whether Genghis Khan actually existed, or Alexander the Great, or fucking, so many, like, Socrates or Plato. Like, did they exist? I don't know, probably.
Okay.
Do I actually have a firm position that they did? No, definitely not.
Okay, that's intellectually honest, because my next thing was to go through, the Socrates, the Aristophanes, and the Platos, that we would actually have roughly the same in terms of, well, I guess.
Well, no, we have more, right? So we have more, like, for Plato, because we have stuff that he actually wrote, right? Like, at least we have some reason to believe that things that we have were written by him. Now, am I 100% convinced? No, I'm not. I don't know for sure. But we definitely have, like, things that were supposed to have been written by Aristotle. Right. So I think that there's reason to think that Aristotle probably existed, but that doesn't mean that I'm 100% convinced that he did, because there could be evidence. I think that there's a likelihood, like, again, I'm not going to like say that this is definitely going to happen, but it could come out tomorrow that all the works ever, associated with Aristotle were actually written by other people, and just, the name Aristotle was put on it because it gave it legitimacy. Kind of like there's like this theory that William Shakespeare there wasn't one guy, William Shakespeare, who wrote all the Shakespeare.
Bacon.
Yeah. Well, or like there's a lot of, I've heard theories that there were multiple authors who wrote the Shakespeare plays, but they were all put the name Shakespeare on them because it gave them legitimacy and a higher likelihood that they would get performed, right? And that people would come see them. So, like, I don't know for sure that Shakespeare existed. I don't know for sure that Aristotle existed, and I don't really care all that much, so I haven't looked into it.
Yeah, and honestly, I was going to go through, of course, like, to me, the best argument for Christianity, not deism, because there's a ton of deistic arguments. I'm sure you've heard all of them. But honestly, when we talk about the minimal facts of Jesus, and we're talking about, some of them historically are least controversial, that Jesus died by Roman crucifixion. I know there's a lot of TikTok channels, the idea that, the crucifixion never happened, Jesus didn't happen. That would fly in the face of most, not all, but most of academia that have studied those, not just Christians, obviously, but secularists. Of course, Bart Ehrman, probably the most famous, that says, yes, Jesus did die of crucifixion. Yes, his disciples did sincerely believe that they saw Jesus alive. Paul was
that's
a
fine.
persecutor, and all of
I
those
can,
things.
like I said right away, I can grant that Jesus really existed. I can grant that he was, an itinerant apocalyptic preacher. I can grant that he claimed that he was going to, be the Jewish Messiah. I can grant that his believers, when he didn't fulfill any messianic prophecies and then he died, I can, affirm that his his followers believed that he resurrected, because we know, like, it's a very common thing that when people are taken in by a charismatic religious leader and that leader's predictions don't come true, the believers actually double down and believe in their leader stronger. So it totally makes sense to me from a psychological perspective that if Jesus actually existed and actually had followers and actually made a bunch of, claims about being supernatural or being the Messiah or whatever, it makes sense to me that if he died by execution without ever fulfilling any of his promises, that his believers would double down and believe in him even harder, because that's just a thing that we see people doing now.
Okay. Well, I'll make this point and then I'll jump off, because I'm sure you have other people. But I think for me, N.T. Wright, one of the most famous New Testament historians, he says probably the best evidence for what could be a resurrection is that we see this early church that just absolutely explodes after Jesus' death. I mean, we see the expansion of Christianity, and that a resurrection, a literal resurrection, or at least people that believe in the resurrection, right? And they believed it wholeheartedly. And not to say a bunch of people believing something makes it true, but it shows that there had to have been some credence with this whole Jesus story to see the expansion that was truly unprecedented with the early church, of how it was able to grow the way it did.
Yes, I just don't think that that's convincing, because, like, I think that it would be exactly the same whether he actually resurrected or people just believed it. I don't see any reason to think that the fact that people believed in it is reason, and then acted on their belief in it. I don't see that as any evidence whatsoever that it actually happened, right? Because we know that exact same thing is true of a bunch of other religions whose supernatural claims you don't accept.
Sure. No. And again, I wouldn't say that is the best evidence for the resurrection. N.T. Wright is quoted as saying the best explanation for this gigantic expansion of the early church would make sense that the resurrection did happen, and that the early apostles. Yeah, and I can understand your argument to that. So, anyways, I know you. Like I said, I know you got other people to let up, so I will leave it at that.
All right. Well, I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Dagobah Dave has a good point over on YouTube. Mormonism spread at a similar rate to Christianity, right? And it's a major religion after a pretty short amount of time because people believe in it. But yeah, no, I definitely agree, Luna. That was a great guest. So W's for Roger for sure. Yeah, probably was the best convo tonight. Historicity. I can't spell. Okay. Well, actually, unfortunately, Roger was wrong. I don't have more people requesting, but I'd be happy to continue talking. If there is anyone who is 18 plus and actually has some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God, I'd be happy to chat. Yeah, don't currently have anybody requesting, but maybe somebody will come up momentarily, and then we can actually discuss whether or not there's a reason to believe in God. What was the other argument that I was looking at? I think that there's like this interesting concept that, because most people who believe in God believe in the A theory of time, which is what's called presentism. This idea that that the present moment is what's real, the past is present moments that aren't real anymore, and the future is present moments that haven't come to exist yet. But the problem with an A theory is that if there's a God who can make predictions by like going into the future, then by going into the future, the only way that God could see a future moment is if that moment exists, and that moment can't exist unless the present is gone and the future is the present now, right? So like, how could God go to the future to see what happens and then come back to the present to make a prediction? Because by the time God gets to the future to see what happens, the present isn't real anymore, right? And so I just don't think that it works. I know that people say God is outside of time, but I don't think that makes any sense on A theory. That's all I'm saying. Now, yes, I am on YouTube. Yep, it's just Ogar Debates. But well, yeah, outside of time is a weird, especially like the idea that God is outside of time and went from not creating the universe to creating the universe. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, like I said, currently don't have anybody. Oh, thank you, Mupp. I appreciate that. Don't have any guests requesting. I don't know if I like give a reset. I could do that. I could certainly reset. Maybe we could have a couple more conversations before I have to call it for the night, or I could just call it for the night. No, anybody want to request up? Or like I said, maybe I could reset. Maybe we get some more guests. Tonight's been rough. Tonight has been a rough one. Determinism, man, that's a big one. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do a reset here. I will be back momentarily. Oh, I gotta do this. Do one of those. Then wait to see if TikTok is going to be stupid again, because, TikTok's always stupid. No, it's not going to do the stupid thing that it always does. All right, fair enough. Let's see if it'll work. Now it'll do the dumb thing when I'm trying to go live. Oh, it actually let me go live? Look at that. All right. Hopefully people populate in pretty quickly and we can have some good conversations. Hey, thanks, Bootman Jones. Oh, really? All right. Yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. I have no idea how to say your name. Is it Lipe or Lipe or something?
Lipe.
Okay.
Lipe, I'm European.
Okay. And what God do you believe in? Or actually, first I have to ask, how old are you?
I'm 30 years old. I'm Orthodox Christian.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Look, God is not real. Everybody knows that. But we have to believe in this God.
Okay. Well, if you don't believe in God, then we starts out God is not real. All right. If you are in the guest queue or, the only person that was there left. Well, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. The conversation I'm looking to have is whether or not there's reason to believe in God. If you agree that there's no reason to believe in God and that God isn't real, then there's no conversation to be had, right? Make sense? Cool. But yeah, hopefully as people populate in, we'll get some guests and we can have some good conversations. Oh, thank you, Lumen. Fuck yeah. Oh, that dolphin is awesome. Thank you. Thank you, both sides and Poopman Jones. You guys fucking rule. Okay. All right. Yeah. So if you are 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that you think would provide rational justification to believe in a God, feel free to request up. The guest box is open, and I would be happy to hear it. Thank you so much, Lupine and Nick, and what is that? Thistle Honey, Lem, thank you. Colette, thank you so much, everybody. So yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Thanks, both sides. Hi, Christ is King. How old are you?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, how old are you?
I think that's irrelevant, but like, if you want to know, I'm over 18, like you said.
And I assume you're Christian?
Yes.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Okay, so for me, honestly, I believed in God since I was a little kid. Honestly,
Okay, nope,
and,
hold on. I'm not asking for your personal story. I'm asking for an argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God.
Okay, how was the universe created?
That's a question. What would be the argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Evidence? How was the universe created? Like I said.
Well,
already.
that's a question. You're supposed to be giving an argument or presenting evidence. So what is the argument or evidence that God exists? This is the last time I'm asking.
Okay, the evidence of God existing is how was the universe created while there was no existence of anything else by a rational point.
All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Yeah, that's the best argument, Luna. Hi, Antics, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 21. Can you hear me?
Yep, and what God do you believe in? Yeah, I can't hear you if you're off the app.
Yeah. I said I'm Oriental Orthodox and I'm Christian.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I would say the fact that intelligibility cannot arise from non-intelligibility. So semiotics.
Okay, what's the argument for that?
Yeah, so premise one would be that based on the interpreter of Peirce's semiotics will be that there needs to be an interpreter to rationally and logically interpret signs that are within reality and nature.
So there needs to be an interpreter to interpret signs in nature?
Yes, and within reality, yes.
Okay, so there needs to be an interpreter to interpret signs in nature. What's the second premise?
Yeah, the second premise is that it will be the argument of non. So the second premise of John Pierce's semiotic will be the argument of non.
Just tell me what the premise is.
Yeah, it's arguing. It's arguing from.
No, don't tell me what it's arguing. Just tell me what the second premise is.
That it cannot be the case otherwise.
It's just a repeat of the first premise?
No, that's not the same as the first premise.
Okay, so the first premise is there needs to be an interpreter to interpret signs in nature. What's the second premise?
The second premise is that it cannot be the case otherwise.
Right, so it's just reaffirming the first premise. The first premise has to be true.
Yeah, it's not
okay, so the second premise is just premise one is true?
No, the second premise is that it cannot be the same as the first premise because.
Okay, so just tell me, just give me the wording of the second premise.
Can you calm down? I'm telling you.
Yeah, as soon as you actually answer the question. So what's the second premise? This is genuinely, Antics, this is the last time I'm asking. If you can't just tell me what the second premise is, I'm going to drop you. So what's the second premise?
Yeah, the second premise is that in order for you to be an interpreter, right, you have to have certain attributes and certain quality, certain qualities and attributes. Otherwise, that cannot be the case.
Okay, so in order for you to be an interpreter, you have to have certain qualities
and attributes. Yes.
Okay, and what's the third premise?
Because if there is no God, we cannot.
What's the third premise?
Yeah, the third premise is since reality is as it is, it cannot be the case. So therefore, God exists. You need me to break it down? Break it down again.
So premise one is there needs to be an interpreter to interpret signs in nature. Premise two is in order for you to be an interpreter, you have to have certain qualities and attributes. Conclusion, since reality is as it is, it cannot be the case. Therefore, God exists.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's an invalid argument, so I just reject it on structure. So do you have a valid argument that we can look at?
Well, can you explain how it's an invalid argument?
Yeah, because the conclusion isn't necessitated by the premises. Validity says what it means for an argument to be valid is that any time the premises are true, the conclusion must also be true. That's not the case here. These premises could be true while the conclusion is false. So anytime it's possible for anytime it's possible for all the premises to be true while the conclusion is false, the argument is invalid. This is an argument where the premises could be true while the conclusion is false, so it's not valid. The conclusion does not follow from the premises.
Yeah, but it does follow though, because we.
Okay, what's the inference rule?
Oh, wait, can I finish talking?
What's the inference rule?
Wait, so you're not gonna let me finish?
You can finish by telling me the inference rule that shows that this is valid.
Yeah, so okay, I'm going to continue.
So what's the inference rule?
Yeah, so it is valid because the
okay, so I'm going to ask for the inference rule one more time, and if your response is anything other than either the inference rule or a concession that this argument is invalid and you want to move on to something else, anything else is a concession.
No, I'm not
so what's the inference rule?
I want to continue.
Yeah, so what's the inference rule?
Okay, can I finish the argument?
Okay, fair enough. I don't think that he had anything. And maybe, yeah, I don't know. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Thank you so much, Radio Spencer, for being here. Appreciate you. And also thank you so much for the support. That fucking rules. Thank you. Thanks, Mikey. Thank you. Also, thank you to Lupine and Lamb and Nick and everybody for the support. Colette, I appreciate you all so much. Yes, I'm low tier because I pointed out that your argument is invalid and then you couldn't give the inference rule. Yep, that makes me low tier. Got it. All right, well, we'll bring up the next person and hopefully we can have an actual reasonable conversation. Hi, Warrior, how old are you? Hello. Oh, he's gone. Hey, thanks, Alan Gibson. Fuck yeah. Where are we at? Looks like we only have 55 followers to get to 5,000. That's fucking crazy. Oh, I don't sing. I'm not really a singer. The closest you're going to hear to my singing voice is when I do the Jeopardy cue or the Jeopardy music. Thank you so much, Alan Gibson. And Colette, thank you so much for the support. Sincerely. Godless Engineer, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult and you actually have some kind of argument or evidence for God. No, I definitely do not believe in the devil. Hi, Marquises. How old are you?
I'm 34.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
The God of the Old Testament.
Okay, so you're Jewish?
That's what I practice. Yeah, I practice Judaism.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
The best would be, I would say, prophecy. You know, there's a specific prophecy about how Babylon is going to be destroyed, and there's a specific verse that says never to be rebuilt. And there was a couple individuals as time went on from that prophecy. One, Alexander the Great, who tried to rebuild Babylon.
So I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't really care. What I need you to do is to demonstrate how, even if somebody made a prediction that came true, like how would that give us reason to believe in this God specifically? Because every other religion, as far as I know, claims to have fulfilled prophecy. So, I mean, if I agree that just, like, oh, this thing was, claimed to be a prophecy and it seems like it came true, if that's enough to believe in a religion, then I'd have to believe in a whole lot of religions, not just Judaism, but also Christianity and Islam and Hinduism and a whole bunch more. Obviously I can't believe in all of those because that would lead to me believing in contradictions. So how do I tell which of these claims is correct and which ones aren't?
Well, you didn't bring up any claims, so you would have to bring up the claims.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the claims are specifically. I need you to tell me the tool that I would use to tell which miracle claims or which prophecy claims are correct and which ones aren't.
Yeah, I never. So
yeah, what's the tool?
Well, checking to see if the prophecy came true or not.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, is that all the religions that I'm aware of have claims of prophecies coming true. So what is the tool that I can use to tell the difference between all of those claims of fulfilled prophecies?
Yeah, there's a manifest of many different things, from actually checking historical records, from actually going to the sites and reading.
Sure. So why don't you tell me? Why don't you tell me how you confirmed? Why don't you tell me how you confirmed that all of the?
What I'm saying,
yeah. So no. Here's a good way that we can make sure that this works. Yeah, I want to make sure that this works. So what you can tell me is you can explain to me how you confirmed that all of the supposed fulfilled prophecies of Islam are false.
Cutting me off.
Yep.
But
so
you can't keep cutting me off if we're going to talk.
Oh yeah, no, I can. And I will do it as much as I want when we're not moving the conversation forward. So the way that we're going to move the conversation forward is that you're going to tell me the process that you went through to determine that all the supposed fulfilled prophecies of Islam are false. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, which prophecy you want to bring up, sir?
Well, all of them. You have to demonstrate that they're all wrong.
Well, bring up one and we'll talk about that.
No, you have already done the work, so you can just tell me. Pick whichever one that you think that you had the easiest time showing was wrong.
You just brought up these prophecies. Pick one, we'll talk about it.
No, you obviously must have already determined that all of the prophecies in Islam are false. Since you believe that fulfilled prophecy is a good reason to believe that a religion is true, then that means that you must have demonstrated that all the quote the supposed fulfilled prophecies of every other religion are false. So then what you need to do now is just tell me the process you went through to debunk all of the Islamic fulfilled prophecies.
Well, tell me one of the prophecies we'll talk about.
No, just go through your list. Just go through the list of all the ones that you debunked. What's the first one you debunked?
One claim that they make is that embryos come from
No, what's the first fulfilled prophecy of Islam that you debunked?
That's what I just brought up.
That's not a fulfilled prophecy. That's just a misunderstanding about human biology. So what is the first fulfilled prophecy of Islam that you debunked?
That's the thing. They say that.
Okay, so I'm going to ask one more time. If you can't give me an answer, then obviously you're not a serious interlocutor. So what is one fulfilled prophecy of Islam that you debunked?
That. So we study human biology, and we.
If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God.
Hey, Ogar.
Hi, Nix. How old are you?
44, I think.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I'm more close to the Christian God per se, but I do have a different interpretation. I don't believe per se in a supernatural being that is all-knowing, omnipresent, all that kind of stuff. Because for me, that's folklore. You know. I mean,
okay, what do you actually believe in?
I believe God as a concept. And the way
okay, well, I believe in the concept of God as well. What do we disagree on?
Oh, I don't know. I just joined it.
Okay. Well, I'm just looking to talk to people who actually believe in God, but I appreciate you being here, and I hope you have a good one. All right. So again, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Ray. How old are you?
45.
Cool. And what God do you believe in?
The God of the Bible.
I assume you mean the Christian Bible?
Yeah, the God of the Hebrews.
Okay, and then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
A lot of things. The Bible itself, the prophecies in the Bible that have come to pass, you know.
Okay, well, we can only talk about one thing at a time, so what do you think is the best argument or evidence for God?
I think the world in general, you know, how everything works, nature and everything works, it's literally impossible for all that to just happen. You know, there would have to be, it's just like you got a computer sitting here, and you said, hey, man, that computer just came out of nowhere. No, it was built by somebody.
Well,
it's the same thing when it comes to the earth.
The reason I think that we can conclude that computers have computer builders and buildings have builders and paintings have painters is because we have background information about those things and we know that that's how they come into existence. But we don't have any background information that tells us that universes have universers. So what would be the reason that we would think that the universe needs a universer?
Because it's literally mathematically impossible for anything to be perfect without it being created. You understand what I'm saying?
So you think the universe is perfect?
The world, yeah, the world, and basically, you know, the animals and the trees and the, you know, to the smallest insects, everything works in cohesion together.
Okay, so you think you think that it's a good thing that there are parasites that will lay their eggs inside people's eyes, and then when the eggs hatch, the creature has to burrow out of the person's eye in an extremely painful manner. You think that's perfect?
What are you talking about, man?
You think that that's perfect?
I've never heard of that. I mean, what are you talking about? I'm talking about animals and how animals work and the whole earth.
Yeah,
now,
that's what I'm talking about.
You talking about people. I haven't brought people up yet.
Yeah, so like, for example, so the example is the New World screw worm is a flesh-eating fly that can lay its eggs directly in open wounds or body openings like the eyes. The eggs hatch into maggots that burrow into the living tissue. So this is a fly that could lay its eggs in your eye. They would hatch into maggots, and then the maggots would eat your eye. Do you think that's perfect?
I mean, God made everything.
Right. So you think that it was a good thing? So you think it's a good thing that God made that fly that would do that to people?
Sure. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to just say that that's a...
really, you kind of bringing up some...
I'm just going to say that that's a reductio to your view, Ray. If you think it's perfect that God intentionally made creatures that would do that to people, then I think that you and I just have such a different concept of what's good and what's perfect that I don't know that we could really have much of a conversation.
Yeah, well, if you look in the mirror, I mean, you'll probably be like, damn, you know.
Well, I need you to... Well, look at me. Look at me. What do you think? What do you think I see when I look in a mirror? Look at me. Look at my stupid fat fucking face. Look at my shitty beard. Look at how fucking fat and chubby I am. Of course, do you think that a good God would make an ugly piece of shit like this?
You eat junk. You know what
No.
I'm saying? That's
Nope.
why you look like that.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
Not true. Not true at all.
Yeah.
Nope,
Yeah,
that's not
it is
true at all. But
You know what I'm
anyway, it
saying?
doesn't seem like you actually have a
You'll be the
response
first-
to anything that I'm saying. Am I serious about what? Thanks, thanks, Godless Engineer. Appreciate you. No, I'm not a gamer. All right. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. Thank you, Dabnice, Lupine, Neurospicy, Cat Lady. That sounds amazing. Sounds like somebody I would get along with really well. And based on your profile picture, I think that's confirmed. I think we would get along really well. Okay. Thank you so much to I can't read this. Revenus, that's cool. Elisor, thank you so much. Alan Gibson, Colette, thank you all so much. Godless Engineer, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Nick and Lem. All right, yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Oh, do we want to? Okay. What? Okay. Well, we'll see. Hi, Empire. How old are you?
28.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I believe in the God Anunnaki.
What?
Anunnaki. I think they are our God.
Okay. Well, I'm not really into conspiracy theories and stuff. Not really what I'm looking to talk about. Also, isn't the Anunnaki like a... whatever. Yeah, the fallen angels, whatever. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Is Joustin going to join? Maybe not, maybe not. Have a good one, Luna. Appreciate you. Okay, apparently they're not joining. Hi, Russell. How old are you?
56.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
Christian God.
Cool. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
What makes you you?
We're not really doing 20 questions. I'm just asking for the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God.
Where do you think your soul goes?
Okay, I'll ask one more time. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us reason to believe in a God?
Why do you want somebody to prove that to you when you already know?
Fair enough. Okay, well, I feel like we've kind of run through everybody. Is there anybody else that actually wants to have a serious conversation? Well, the issue, Jaden, is that Antics idiot already came up and already gave, an invalid argument, and then said that I was low tier because he couldn't give the inference rule for his own argument. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can have a good conversation. Just looking for folks who are 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Matrill, how old are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm 23.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
The one and only Christian God.
Okay. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Because man had to be created from somewhere. Man can't create man. Man had to be created from somewhere at the beginning of time.
What's the argument for that?
That God created man.
Yeah, what's the argument for that?
What do you mean? Like the argument for that is there's only one God that can ever, like, okay, when you think of God, you think of the creator.
Yeah, this is your claim. You're claiming that God created humans. I don't
Yeah.
believe that. Why should I believe that? What's the
Why should
evidence
you
or
believe that?
argument that it's true that God created humanity?
Well, you should believe that because you have to ask yourself, who created man? Like at the beginning.
Well, I don't
of
think
time,
that
where did-
humanity was created, and I don't think that humanity has existed since the beginning of time. So these are not questions that I have to worry about because I don't think that those things are true. So why should I believe that humans were created by, some creator?
Because it's just the way the world works.
I mean, that's the claim. Do you have any argument or evidence to back up the claim, or do you just make the claim? Okay, well, fair enough. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Yeah, I would agree that man can't create man because it's usually women doing that. Now, not always, but most of the time. Hi, G. Austin. How old are you?
What it do, Ogre? I'm 18, twin.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
The Christian God, the one and only.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God? I can't hear you if you're off the app. Okay, well, okay. What's the argument or evidence for God?
A man created man.
What?
Like the other man said, man created man.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know how it gets us to God. Can you help me? Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the rest of you men, but I was created by my mom. I mean, I think my dad had a little bit of involvement in the beginning, but I think my mom did most of the work. Okay. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, well, how old are you?
I am, let's say I was born in the 1900s, all right? Is that good enough?
I'm just going to put down 30.
Yeah, oh, that's pretty dang close, pretty dang close.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I am a follower of Jesus. I'm not going to say just because of the evidence supporting him and what he did in his life, right? More physical evidence. So I'm a follower of Jesus.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, I don't take a religious standpoint at this. Like the last couple of guests, I look at the pure scientific evidence that we don't have enough evidence of disproving it.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I've got people in the chat that I trust telling me
Yeah,
that you're too young, so I'm sorry. I have to move on. I don't know anything about that. I unfortunately just kind of have to take the word that I'm given. Sorry. I don't know if you're actually an adult or not. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Lies. How old are you?
40.
And what God do you believe in?
Jesus, the God of the Bible.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
You. I believe that you are evidence of God.
Sure.
And that God created everything.
And
me?
How's that?
Well, the Bible is very clear that there will be division among the people who believe and the people who do not. The people who do not will be blinded to the matters of creation, the awes and wonders of everything that we witness with our eyes.
Yeah, but
and
I mean
would
that's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy, or at least like the easiest kind of prophecy that you could ever make. That's like me saying, "Oh, I'm a religious, I have a direct connection to God, and God is giving me a prophecy, and it's true that sometime in the next 20 years a war will start somewhere in the world." Well, like obviously,
no,
if I make a
that's
prophecy that like sometime in the next 100 years people will disagree on something, like that's not a
is that
prophecy.
what I said? Is that
Yes,
what I
yes.
said?
You said that there would be disagreements between the believers and the non-believers. We already know that there are going to be disagreements between the believers and the non-believers, and we already know that there's going to be tension and fighting and whatever. And so that, what the fuck? So that is obviously not a reason to believe in God, because anyone could make that prediction. It's not a prophecy. It's just like a thing that everyone knows is going to happen. So is there any argument or evidence that would actually provide a reason to believe in a God?
Well, you just proved my point, and you don't even realize it.
Okay, so I'm going to ask
do-
one
do
more
you-
time, and if you're a serious interlocutor, then we can move on to a real argument. Is there any actual argument or evidence
Do
for
you
God?
Do you believe that the
Okay, well, we're not going to do 20 questions. If you can't actually provide an argument, no problem. I can move on. Okay. All right. A Q&A? I don't know why I would do a Q&A. I can't imagine that anybody cares what I have to say. Oh, he probably was driving. Oh, was that his GPS? I don't know. I was so distracted. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Manic. How old are you?
35.
Okay, what God do you believe in?
I believe in all of them.
Okay, well, I mean, that's logically inconsistent, so you're just an illogical person?
No, I believe that energy is God, and so everything is
No,
created from
you
energy.
can't believe in all the gods. And obviously, not everything is made out of energy. Energy doesn't make up anything. Energy isn't a stuff. It's not a substance that can make up things. So I'm just going to ask you one more time. Do you believe that there is like an immaterial mind that created and sustains the universe?
Like, you're trying to make
That was a yes or no
logic
question. Is
of
that something that you
things.
believe in or no?
I'm sorry, you want to repeat it?
Do you believe in an immaterial mind that created and sustains the universe?
No.
Okay. What is happening? What in the fuck is happening? Yeah, no, I completely agree. She was not a theist. All right, well, we'll try to see if we can have one more conversation. Hopefully we can have a decent one. Hi, Jimmy. How old are you?
55.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I believe in only Jesus Christ.
Okay. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
Well, it's a free gift. Either you believe or you don't. And if you don't believe, then one day you will find out.
Okay, so you don't actually have a reason to believe in God?
Yeah, I have a reason.
Oh, okay. What's the reason to
It's
believe
the
in God?
Bible and the Spirit He put in me that I feel. That's the reason.
Okay.
I feel it.
Okay.
It's
Well,
in
what
my
if I
soul.
just feel that there is no
my
God?
soul.
Does that mean that I have equal support for there not being a God?
That's your free choice.
Okay. So you think that my
It's a
position
gift.
is equally supported as yours?
I don't think that. No, it's free. Either you do or
Okay.
you don't.
So I'll ask one more time. Is
But I
there
do
any
know this.
actual reason to believe in a God that you can
I
present
just
to me?
told you. The Spirit that He gave me.
Okay. Well, that's not a reason to believe in a God. Well, maybe we'll try one more time. I don't know. We'll see. If you're in the guest queue, make sure you're an adult and you actually have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Hi, Ben. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Okay. What God do you believe in?
I believe in the higher power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you?
And I mean, I used to think God wasn't real till, I got shot at a church, and I just stopped believing in God till one of my friends died, and
Yeah, I'm just asking if you believe
then
in like a mind that
I
created and
seen,
sustains the universe.
yes, and I seen, you
Okay.
could say, like, the spirit.
Okay. So what's the best
So it's
argument or
definitely
evidence
some.
that would give us a reason to
It's
believe in a
definitely
God?
something. It's definitely a higher power somewhere in the world.
Yeah. And
I
what's
know that for a fact.
what's
I used to be just like you.
Okay.
I
Can you
mean,
answer
you
the
probably
question?
have you?
All right. So I'll
Yeah.
ask one more time. What is the argument or evidence that would provide a reason to believe in a God?
So you haven't went through no near death experience in your life before?
That's completely irrelevant. Is there any argument or evidence that would provide a
Right.
reason
That's
to believe in
exactly
a
why.
God?
All right.
Nothing?
I just told you how.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Yeah, I think that we're going to go ahead and call it. I feel like it's been like almost 3 hours. Probably going to just take the rest of the night off. So I appreciate you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lupe Cat and Nick and Dabney's and Neurospicy, the Cat Lady, and Godless Engineer, and everybody else for the support. Error 404, thank you so much. Yes, I do stream on YouTube. Oh, thank you, Godless Engineer. If you want to follow me on YouTube, it's just at Ogar Debates. I do also have a Discord you can join by going to tinyurl.com/Ogar Debates. Be happy to have you there. The shirt I'm wearing is just Invincible. Unfortunately, I do think that Trump exists. Nothing I can do about that, though. But I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. The last thing that I do want to say, or a couple things I'll say. One of the last things I always want to say is just that tomorrow is not guaranteed. So remember, take every opportunity you have to let your family and friends know how much